Hi, hey, what's going on, everybody? Hello, we're here.
You didn't say one. Are you
It's-
sure
You
we're
never
supposed
say
to go?
one. You never say one.
Giant.
You didn't.
It's the giant bombcast.
You didn't say one.
You
It's
don't
May.
say one.
It's May 5th,
May the
and
fifth
Fifth
be with you.
and with
Yeah.
your spirit.
Oh,
May 5th.
boy.
Revenge of the fifth.
It's May 5th somewhere. That's what I say, and then I crack a cold one, and then there we go.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're ready to do a podcast.
The
proper.
fourth and the fifth are kind of a forced dyad if you think about it.
I don't know what that means.
Nobody else saw
Horse Fiad?
No, nobody else saw the Star Wars. Never mind.
No, I saw him.
Let's just take it from the top. Jan didn't say one. This isn't
Hey,
the show.
Fade in the black.
One,
Take it all from the
and
top.
Here we go.
Back
It's
on
the
us. 3, 2, 1.
Giant Bombcast here
You said
for
one this
May
time.
5th. It's my cat's birthday.
Happy birthday, cat.
Hey! What did everyone get Jeff's cat for its birthday? I got him
Pancakes.
milk.
She's
I just
loves-
sent you some milk
she
in the
loves
mail. It should get there
great.
soon.
Some,
I got her
She's
insulin.
diabetic, so she can't. Yeah, all right, great. Fresh insulin. Jason is in
I got
sync
tons.
with this cat's needs.
I donated to a charity in your cat's name.
Great, awesome. You saw my Facebook post then.
Mhm.
It's just as someone who still occasionally loads up Facebook, I feel like that is now 80% of Facebook.
Well,
Donate
that's
to.
not the
Is
worst,
people's
right?
thing. Donate to
Okay.
my thing. It is super not the worst. I don't mean to imply that it is,
Yeah.
but when it is every, let's say, third or every other post you see, it's just like where's this money supposed to go? Everybody's trying to pull people in different directions. What am I supposed to do?
Donate to my donation drive, and
And then to keep the
we'll put
donations
push
rolling
that
and
money forward to the next donation drive.
exactly
Donate
Yeah.
it forward.
donate that.
Have you guys ever been in a pay it forward situation where I
My whole
remember
life.
Christmas a couple of years ago, we went through the Starbucks drive-through and somebody was like, "Hey, the people in front paid for the people behind them," and so on and so forth. Do you want to pay for the people behind you? And we were like, "Yeah, we're not going to be the assholes who
Yeah.
break the streak." Do you guys
Oh, man.
think? What do you think is more likely? Somebody breaks the streak, or and actively doesn't do it to the people behind them, or just no cars show up for an hour, so the employees are just like, "Oh, I don't know, it's just."
I think it's
bet
more
that-
likely.
that is what
Yeah.
that's what derails the hype train. That's where Twitch got the idea for hype trains. I bet is Starbucks. We had that happen once, but it was not conveyed to us that it had been done in any kind of train like fashion. So it was just like, hey, the people in front of you pay for your stuff, and we're like, okay,
Cheers.
Thanks.
like, all right, that's weird. Like we're fully prepared to pay for that. Okay, sure, all right, fine, whatever.
What if you want to order more than they paid for?
Right.
Yeah,
You-
then
do
it's
you
like,
ask them
oh,
to
well,
come back?
Yeah, can you come back and we're adding a couple of things.
It just you give them your credit card and say, "Hold on to this for the next day. We'll be back
Yeah,
tomorrow."
we're back tomorrow. Every order is on this card.
Oh God.
Yeah. Have you ever had to go back to a bar and collect your credit card the next day?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my car sometimes.
Well, car, that's just
Yeah.
being smart.
Right.
Credit card, that's just being forgetful.
It's being nice because they always make the tip super duper high.
Yeah. I was like, no, don't worry. We closed it out for you. Well, okay. I suppose that's what I get. Well, whatever. You should tip well at a bar anyway.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
if you're in a
Absolutely.
position where you're ordering enough drinks that they have held onto your credit card for most of the night, then I feel like the end of that is just like, yeah, of course, here, just yes, whatever you need, especially in these trying times. Hi, Brad Shoemaker's on assignment. I'm Jeff Gersman here to host in his stead. Jan Ochoa is here.
Hello, that's me.
Hi.
Hey.
What's good? What is good? What's we get in that fridge back there?
Oh, what we got in the fridge? I bought tater tots yesterday, and I got.
Tater tots.
Yes.
It baffles me that a bag of tater tots is like $1.50 at my local Target, and everything else that isn't tater tots is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And that I could get a full bag of tater tots for $1.50, but everything else, I don't know. The cost. There's some economics going on. There's
Yeah,
some
the cost of
economics
tater
going on.
tots, is a constant in one's life.
Also,
Mhm.
I've been told to not mask shame anyone when you go outside, but
Have you been shaming people for wearing masks?
no. Shaming people for
not.
not wearing masks.
Yeah.
So there's a dude walked by the line to get into the Target, just whistling
Oh,
away, not
Nope.
with his mask on, getting a little too close for comfort. And then I felt very compelled to give
Who
him
told you
peace of my
not to
mind.
shame them?
The government.
And you're gonna listen to what I've learned from all of this is never listen to the government.
Hang on. Which
Yeah.
okay, there are a lot of different governments now. Which
Which
San
Which part of
part of the
Francisco.
government?
The
Okay.
California New Republic.
The mayor had said explicitly, like, "Hey, don't mask shame people for not
if it was
having
the
masks."
Western, if it was the Western States Pact, then we need a flag.
Oh,
If
I
we're gonna
saw
secede, we need a proper flag.
there was this
Like,
thing.
okay, it's the "Don't tread on me" snake, but it's like wrapped around a bong.
You lost me. Okay, all right, I'm back on board.
God, there was this dumb
Don't
thing I saw on
Bogart on me.
Instagram.
No.
Oh boy. But yeah, tots. All about the tots.
How you prepping those tots, bro?
Just throw them in the oven. Don't want to use too much oil, otherwise that's a waste. Can I
Top
share?
prepper. Welcome to Top Preppers. Janet Cho is here.
Well, what if I said this yesterday when I was streaming Bloodborne? But like, what if you just buy 20 chicken McNuggets, right? Lay down a bed of
God,
marinara.
I would. Oh,
Yeah.
If I
Lay
could
down-
buy with just 20. Oh,
Lay
Are
down
you
some
talking
marinara.
like a chicken parmesan?
Yes. Chicken parm nuggets.
sure.
Oh,
That's
I
it.
missed the giant bomb test kitchen.
that's
This
yeah.
dream could be a reality.
Yeah, lay down some marinara and then some cheese on top. Slap that bad boy in the broiler.
Are you cutting the cheese to fit the shape of the nugs?
No, just throwing it on.
Throw it on.
Okay.
layering
You're keeping the nuggets close enough together. Or I'm sorry. Are you using like a shredded, or are you using like a
Maybe let's, like,
slice?
slice a log up,
Yeah.
and layer those on.
Either way, like whichever's more convenient. I got some shredded cheese. Maybe I'll do
What
this
about a
later.
nug
cheese, yeah.
lasagna?
Oh, what about a nug lasagna?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I'm just blue sky here. Like,
Oh, I can't wait to get back to the giant bomb test kitchen. I mean, I could do this
bet
later today.
I bet if you walked into a Subway and said, "Yo, I just want to buy some meatballs and no bread. Like, I don't need a sandwich. I just want like 3 sandwiches worth of meatballs for a thing I'm doing," they would probably be like, "All right, man."
You
They
know,
charge you full price.
you know those pizza places that you go down the line and you build a pizza with them, like a
Yeah.
Chipotle.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Blaze.
Yeah, like a Blaze. They're totally offering pizza kits to just bring home because I think they have an excess of
What?
ingredients.
Sure.
Oh,
I
sure,
guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
I used to buy those DiGiorno pizza kits a lot. They came with like a little sauce packet and some cheese and a pre-made crust. And you can go buy other toppings and stuff. But like that was always our go-to for like birthday parties. If we were ever like throwing a party, just like get one of those per kid, so every kid could make their own pizza. And that was
Pen
a thing
pack,
now.
Pen pack, is that just a Lunchable? Is that just a Lunchable?
That
Are you
sounds like a
are you
Lunchable.
describing
It's a Lunchable for teens. It's a Lunchable that goes in the oven.
teen Lunchables, like
Yeah.
a little more aggressive. No, the teen Lunchables were the ones that were
Yeah.
uploaded
what
or
were they
whatever.
called?
The fucking the dude from the show with the giant keyboard that he walked on, the Extreme Sportsman,
Tom Hanks?
Rob Dyrdek. Rob Dyrdek's uploaded.
Uploaded. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh God, I don't remember
I ate
this.
an uploaded Lunchables once.
Extreme nacho walking taco.
Yeah, it did not put me on the internet.
Fucking taco.
It didn't like the. I did
Oh,
not.
That you know of.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
Oh, these look disgusting.
it was
Lunchables
fine. I
look
mean, it's
disgusting.
a Lunchable. Yeah, Lunchables are disgusting.
They're all designed to be walking. So, like, okay, I understand the walking taco.
sure.
That's been a thing. You open a bag of Fritos, you pour some taco stuff in there. You can eat it with a fork. It's great. But the snack combined uploaded double cheese walking pizza is a bag full of mini breadsticks, pizza sauce, shredded cheese, and it comes with a spork.
Nice.
Yeah, the most extreme utensil of them all. You thought it was chopsticks,
Mm.
bitch. I don't know. Sorry.
I'm
Jason
back on
Striker's
board.
here.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
me.
How are you living?
We're living pretty good here.
Nice.
Yeah.
When was the last time you ate a Lunchable?
It's too soon, actually. Probably about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Because they're cheap, man. It's
Yeah,
like
no,
it's like $1. It's like I could try that for $1. Why
Mhm.
not?
Yeah, just like a
Uh,
movie. I'd try
yeah,
that for $1.
I'd
That's
try
yeah,
that for a
yeah, that's
dollar.
what they do. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and they're not bad. I mean, whatever. They're fine. Like
I've eaten I've eaten a Lunchable this calendar year. I know that much.
there you go.
Yeah.
It's same.
Yeah,
I
and I
think
was just like, well, this was not as bad as it could have been, but it sure isn't pizza. As much as they
Yep.
say this is a pizza, they are sure
Mhm.
lying to you about that.
I never
Yeah.
fucked with the pizza Lunchables.
I just want regular pizza. That's fine. I don't
Yeah.
need to build it. I need somebody else to build it for me because
Yeah, you don't want a pizza
that way.
kit. You want a pizza.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
I like
Actually,
that.
I just want pizza rolls, to be
Mhm.
completely honest, at all times.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't had pizza rolls in
Dude.
a long time.
That's
I saw somebody
It's
post a picture of pizza rolls out of the air fryer. That looked perfect. Oh my
Ooh.
god!
Someone explain to me what an air fryer is. Is it just an
It's
oven?
just hot air. It just
Hot
blows
air,
hot
man.
air around really fast, really hot.
Mm.
Is it like a
Um,
popcorn popper for food?
Well, first of all, I think popcorn's still food, technically.
Mm,
No? Am I alone on this? All right. No,
no,
yeah.
you're right. You're right.
I mean, I feel like popcorn, like I feel like with food, when I eat food, eventually I have to stop. And I feel like with popcorn, there's just you could just kind of keep going unless other ingredients on the popcorn
They
fuck it
say
up.
once you pop corn,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
can't stop
pop
corn.
Yeah.
No, that's, Jonathan Davis and his coffee
You
brand.
cannot stop Jonathan Davis. Once
You
he
cannot
is
stop
started.
him. He will make Haze 2 by himself if he has to. Yeah, no, I feel like I have been able to eat, let's call it a near infinite amount of popcorn and not feel any more full.
You actually burn more calories eating it than you ingest from the popcorn. So you're actually exercising when you eat
Great.
popcorn.
Yeah, no, it's like a perpetual motion machine for food. You're a
Yeah.
doctor, right? That works, right?
I can't legally say that I am, but I don't have to stop you from saying that
Mm.
I am.
Great. All right, Dr. Ben Pack is here.
Hi.
Ben, there's
Oh.
something about, look, I don't take this the wrong. There's something about, okay, that you've got this like slick look with the hair and the mustache. There's like
it's wet because I showered.
okay. And then there's something about, and this is me, this is probably more me, but there's something about you having this shirt buttoned all the way up to the top with the slick look that says, I am at my parole hearing. It says, I'm looking to get out of jail, and we are trying to make me look as like not criminal as possible.
This is good news. This is really good news
Yeah.
for my
So I think
4 o'clock meeting today.
Yeah, for when you have the Zoom with your PO.
Yeah.
I think you've got the look nailed. You're like ready to go back into society.
I was thinking of like bringing in, like my neighbors, paying them to act as witnesses. Like, I've been looking through his window and he's not doing any crimes.
I have not seen him do any crimes whatsoever. I mean, the one,
Yeah.
but like, stealing cable is a victimless crime, and it's my cable anyway. So
I'm stealing my
I'm just
own
kidding.
cable.
subletting my cable to my neighbors. That's fine, right?
It's great too because I'm wearing garbage shorts down here, but I know nobody can see those. So it's just like business on the top, party on the bottom.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like I'm getting like closer to the idea of a haircut. Like I'm warming up to the idea, but at the same time, over the weekend, and my hair had achieved a volume that I was like, no, this is kind of what I've been looking for. I just needs to be stiffer. It just needs to be like more stiffly firm up, but I don't want to put stuff in it because I'm just hanging out around the house. So I don't know, man. I'm on a journey, is what I'm saying. Ben, now you look like just throw him back in the cell. Throw that guy back in.
I'm practicing my like as soon as that call's over. It's just like this is
exactly.
This is the real me.
Finally, Crime and Ben is back.
I'm gonna break into all my neighbors' houses and rip off the mattress tags.
Oh shit! You're gonna steal more than their cable. So
I'm blurring out.
Yeah, we all are. Video games.
Nope, none of those.
Not a ton. I mean, not necessarily a ton of new ones. I feel like the big game these days has been Streets of Rage 4. Jason, you started playing this before I did. Walk me
Yeah.
through Streets of Rage 4. What do you
It's
think?
all the rage. All
And
the
then
kids are talking
we'll have
about
some kind of debate. I think at some point is probably how
Yeah,
this
we
is gonna end
probably
up.
will.
Yeah.
Which is the same because I'm really, really enjoying this game. As a fan of beat 'em ups, this is might be what I'm looking for. Like as far
Mhm.
as like a combo engine, it's fairly grounded. This is made by a number of different developers, but one in particular, Guard Crush. They did a Streets of Fury game, which was just
Yeah.
like this really ridiculous. They mocapped their friends,
Like
digitized,
digitized, yeah.
yeah, and just over the top, constant juggle system. It's ridiculous. They did the engine for this, but it's very grounded. Like it's not that over the top.
Right. They
combo stuff.
it's not ridiculous. It's like Streets of Rage plus some
Right.
stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, turbo even.
Yeah.
In some cases. But yeah,
I
the
have a quick
returning
question
yes.
about Streets of Rage, about kind of like what defines Streets of Rage versus other beat 'em ups as somebody who didn't really play a lot of it in the past?
Special moves, the soundtrack in
Yeah.
particular, the characters of course. Those are the three main things that I think I'm looking for. I'm looking for
Yeah.
Axel Stone. I'm looking for his grand upper,
Mhm.
and I'm looking for that really sick soundtrack as well. And we got kind of 2.5 of those, I think, which is more than I was expecting. You often get a game like this that they kind of revive. Maybe it doesn't get a proper sequel number to it, but they just kind of phone it in. But this is they've redone the sprites. They've included 17 playable characters that you unlock throughout the course of the game.
Wow.
But a lot of those are actually just the classic characters, like the classic Streets of Rage 1 characters. So it's Axel, Blaze, and their
weird.
original sprites. Yeah, it's strange because you're playing these highly pixelated characters, with these hand-drawn backgrounds and stuff. So it's a little odd. They're cool though because they actually, it seems like they have higher hitboxes and stuff. So like they might not have the special attacks that some of the later incarnations have.
Mhm.
But they do like more damage or something like that. So it keeps them fun to play. But speaking of fun to play, yes, the combo system I think is the high point of this.
And I agree. Like that's I think probably the coolest part about the game is I think what they did with wall bounces and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and my favorite thing besides the the combo engine, and what I think really makes this one of my favorite beat 'em ups in recent years is the fact that when you hit an enemy, they wall bounce and they don't go off screen, which is
Oh.
typical of a lot of brawlers or beat 'em ups. And you're sitting there just acting like a dope, just like punching at nothing at the edge of the screen, waiting for them to come back into, and a lot of time is wasted, just waiting for them to come back in screen. Anyway,
And sometimes they hit you with that like spare long attack that just shouldn't hit you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
I
they charge
hate that.
in with an and you're just like,
Yeah.
what the yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So that shit is gone, and that makes the combat so much fun. I think for me,
And the juggles. I mean, yeah,
Yep.
it's juggles and wall bounces. So it's like you're juggling someone, bouncing them off the wall. They're coming back around. You're hitting them some more. Like I
Yep.
think that's probably the coolest part of the entire game.
Mhm.
Um,
and there's a little bit of depth to combat too. Like it's not just mashing, X and Y. X is your normal attack. Y is your special, but there's different. You can do a neutral special, like a neutral Y, and that's like a defensive get the fuck off me kind of move.
Oh.
You hold the direction, hit Y, and that's your forward offensive move. You can even do that in the air. Some attacks are like multi-hitting in the air, which is pretty badass.
and that's like Streets of Rage 2 did. I mean, it didn't have the air special.
Didn't have the air special. That's true.
But yeah, like the whole like get off me, and that's what separates it from something like Final Fight, which is like
True.
It's just kind of a keep away sort of move. And with
Yep.
the specials,
So you get
the specials
surrounded
would
by
cost.
people,
Yeah, you get surrounded. Yeah, the specials cost health
Mhm.
when you use them, but now in this
But-
one, it gets you a little bit of. It's like a white health type
It's a
situations
green
where you
bar,
can,
yeah.
where you can earn it back by landing some hits after you use it, which I think is
which is
a
great.
cool
So
idea.
I've got somebody like Floyd, who's a big brawler type. He's got this move that lets like long reaching grapple. And that'll cost, a little bit of health, but you pull them in and you start, punch them in the gut and you get all that life back, so it really encourages you to use those specials, which normally in like Streets of Rage 2 or something like that, you would spend a life in that set.
And I think that's the kind of the depth to the combat. I think is much better, though, especially than something like 2. Like 3 tried to expand it. I don't think I like Streets of Rage 3 all that much.
Streets of Rage,
the end of the day.
I played through not all in its entirely, but I played through the first 3 pretty recently, like on stream even. And I think I'm coming around on Streets of Rage 3. Like it's fast. Like
I want to come back to it because there's music in there that I'm just like, holy shit! Like this is incredible. But I only remember like the first couple of stages. There's
really bad stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, 3 has some ideas like where they did with the meters and stuff that I think kind of got away from it. And the 6-button support, I think I don't think I need that.
No.
Like having the additional attacks and stuff on X, Y, and Z on the Genesis controller, I think is like you kind of don't need. They put depth in the wrong spots in Streets of Rage 3, I think.
Sure.
But
sure.
Anyway,
faster though, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is faster. And then 3 was where you could do the vertical rolls, right?
Yeah, vertical rolls. Yeah, so there's no vertical rolls in this one, which I think is a shame. Also,
what I don't think you need it, right? It's like, dude.
What it would be really good for is characters or enemies that have like a far-reaching attack, like a dash or something like that. If you could just roll out of the way, that's where it would be.
The drop kick ladies, I think maybe
exactly.
That would be good for.
Tell me more about the drop kick ladies, please.
They drop kick you. They're ladies
that do drop kick. Yeah,
they do drop kicks.
Yeah, I'm into this.
Kick you. Yes. Yeah. Also, what I think it would have benefited from, I think, is a block. To be honest.
Yeah. You know what?
Why not?
You're probably right. Like they took so many things from from different fighting games to expand the systems of 4 that a block might have been interesting, especially when you have enemies that can block.
Exactly.
And also, I think like one of my big gameplay problems with Streets of Rage 4 is the number of enemies that just straight up have armor or will just absorb hits. And it's like every boss and then some additional characters along the way will just sit there and you'll be punching them and they'll still be doing their attack. Like I think there's just a real lack of variety or a lack of creativity with some of that stuff where they just said like, oh, well, it's a boss, so he's just going to do his thing no matter what. And you should get out of the way. Yeah, I think they could have done better than that.
I think there was some thought put into it because some bosses actually do like wake up attacks. So if you're trying to stay on top of them and just like mash X or whatever, they'll do an invincible wake up attack.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. Like you have to you have to prevent the things that made games like Streets of Rage 2 so like you abuse the enemies in that game. Like it's
totally
you play Streets of Rage 2 by just kind of doing grand upper for 35 minutes or however long and then the credits roll. Like I love that game, but honestly, that's what that game is. So,
sounds like how I play the bouncer. Spamming the donkey kick.
Pretty much. Yeah.
But I mean, man, that's why I like this game so much because there is that much more variety. I'm not just doing grand upper over and over.
Totally, yeah, and so I think like they've found some good depth on the gameplay systems there, but then I think they just don't have enough ideas to carry 12 stages of action.
There's a lot of repeating enemies, of course, and I think that stands true for like most brawlers, but that's not an excuse,
No, and especially
they could have gone deeper with that, I think,
or they could have had fewer stages. Like if they had tightened that game up,
maybe,
or kind of even just. Like I feel like stage length is weird. Like you'll have some stages that feel like they're like 3 screens long and you're done, and then ones that are like 3 times as long as that. Like it's just kind of all
like
over
15 minutes or something. Yeah. There's some really long ones.
And I think that's like it just feels like they could have done better with that. And so when you get past like stage 6 or so, about the halfway point in the game, you just start getting to the end of levels, and it's like here's the boss from level 2 and the boss from level 4 at the same time, and you're like, all right, well. That's not fun. And
Yeah.
they right up to the end of the game, they are doing like, hey, fight this boss again.
Yep.
And I think that's frustrating. It's a thing that you look at it and go like, well, that's what those games were. Streets of Rage 2 does that all the time, but like that's
Right.
not
Not
like it's
necessarily an
2020, you know.
right. Yep.
You could go either way with that in terms of like, well, create enough content to fill the number of levels you want to have, or trim out a couple of levels to be like, okay, these are all the ideas we had. Instead, it
Mhm.
feels like they're like, okay, here's all the ideas we had, and then here's the back half of the game where you're going to see a lot of that stuff again, with a few new enemies kind of sprinkled in here and there.
Yeah, I'm gonna
And
agree that I think the first half of the game is definitely stronger. You know, they've got a
yeah,
bunch of set pieces. They've got new introductions of enemies, in unique ways,
yeah,
which are interesting. But other than that, yeah, once it starts repeating itself, that's where it starts to lose me a little bit. But luckily, it's super fun to play. That's where I stand with it.
yeah. And I think I just got kind of bored with it a little bit because you just see so much of that same stuff again on the back half, or like the tactics don't like meaningfully change until they're like, well, here's a wrecking ball in the middle of the level, and you
Right.
can knock that around and kill everyone, and you're like, okay,
That's
well, I just
that's novel.
it's
Whatever.
novel, yeah. And the elevator where you can there's plenty of holes that you throw guys into, which is always satisfying.
Mhm.
um
But
you
also
know,
just frustrating if you fall.
well, yeah. At least it doesn't take a
God,
full life. It takes a significant chunk of health when you fall in a hole, but it
that
doesn't
sucks.
actually take full life.
Yeah.
And I think I got really um I'm really iffy on the art style. Like
Mhm.
when I first looked at it, I was like, this is terrible. And then I got into it, I'm like, this is fine. And then after about an hour, I was like, no, I this there's something too blurry and soft about it. Like if you think
Mm.
about Streets of Rage and you think about the Genesis, I guess. That's a hard-hitting, chunky, fucking rough-edged game.
They're
The
pixels.
music,
Yeah.
the pixel, yeah, they're pixels, right? But also like I feel like the hits had impact that I don't think a lot of the hits here have. Partially because, and you start playing different characters. Um, different characters have different abilities, which is kind of cool. It's not just like, hey, they punch slightly differently. You have a character like Cherry that can kind of run and do this like dashing attack that'll hit like 8 times as it goes, and
Yeah. That's
she's
fun.
actually probably like my favorite character in the game,
Cool.
because she's pretty different
Mhm.
than the other ones, and that's fun. Um, but like, yeah, none of the hits are just that. It's not crunchy the way that a lot of that stuff should be, and so I think a lot of the hits feel soft. I think the music sucks. I think them having a toggle in the options where you can turn on retro soundtrack, and it's just like, here are the songs you liked from old Streets of Rage games. It's just like the
Yep.
ultimate cop out. And I think
But it's
that
also
aspect of it.
appeasing the people that like are so like in love with like they wouldn't have had any other music.
No, man.
Like
If
they
you
wouldn't
want to
have
do
dealt with it.
that, you write better songs for the core game, and then you do the near thing of we also made versions of those songs that sound like they're coming out of Genesis hardware.
Okay.
Like that's the right answer there, but that they did not do. And yeah, so it's
That might
just
be a lot for the budget that they're maybe
totally,
working
yeah,
with.
and but like that's but then they've
You know,
also got too many levels, so it's which is a weird criticism, but they don't have enough
what
content to fill the levels they have.
when you first heard that they didn't have the guy on board, like you
Yeah.
said, what are they even doing? So they got the guy. They got the guy.
And
And you just and maybe he didn't,
I know, it's such a
perform,
bummer,
but
but
it's like
but
they
also
got the guy.
they got
They tried.
both the guys, yeah,
Yeah.
but also I think a lot of the music in that game is whack. I think that even when you get to the track that Yuzo Koshiro did,
Mhm.
it's very much
Right away.
like evocative of
The 90s, yeah.
an existing
90s
track.
thing.
Like it's like, hey, here's the boss music kind of flipped.
Mhm.
And that's neat. It's not enough. And also I think the thing I realized that like part of the appeal of Streets of Rage, because okay, think about it. Like think about it in its era. It was amazing that the Genesis could produce that type of music, and you're like, this sounds like actual like club music of the era. That's
Okay.
cool. But when you are doing that with full instrumentation and no limits, then it just sounds like here's some club music we put in. Lots of games have this.
Yeah.
And so like the limitations of the hardware, I think, are a big part of what makes that stuff work. And I don't know how you duplicate that now. I don't think the
Yeah,
answer is necessarily
because
like
we don't
let's
have
make it
those
all sound like
limitations
Genesis
now.
games, because that's not
Right.
that's fake too.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I think I came away from that game thinking like this game is okay, but man, they missed the mark in a lot of key ways around the edges that if they had really nailed this stuff, it would be a totally different conversation. You'd be like, holy shit, I can't believe they've like found I feel like they're lacking the spirit of Streets of Rage in a lot of ways. And if this game was called something else and they were like, hey, we're big fans of brawlers from the 90s, you'd be like, whatever, man, you nailed it. This is awesome. But by saying here's Streets of Rage 4, you're like, okay, like you kind of fucked up. Like it, but at the same time, the gameplay is really cool.
The gameplay is really cool.
yeah.
And I disagree, like a hard disagree. Like I think they did capture the spirit of Streets of Rage. I think they did nail, a bunch of the stuff. They missed the mark in a few aspects. Yeah. For sure. It's so hard.
And it's stuff around the edges. And I think it's really hard.
It is around the edges. I think the core of it, I think, is really, really solid and a lot of fun to play. And
so would you take it over stuff like Double Dragon Neon and River City Girls and stuff like that?
Yes.
I feel like both of those games do
in different aspects. Like I love the visuals better in like River City Girls.
Yeah,
it really comes down to gameplay. And that's where I'm having the most fun is, because when you're talking about, repeating enemies and just like going through over and over again, which is what you have to do to unlock characters in this game. Yeah. I'm having the most fun with the gameplay itself. And that's where, that's why I would choose that over several.
Yeah. I think that the thing I realized that, and they're probably smart to do this in a way, but Axel is a boring character compared to some, and not necessarily
he's a Ryu character.
Ryu's a boring character.
Yeah. Right. And like Cherry and Adam, I think are way more interesting because they just have more movement options and other stuff like that. So playing through the first half of the game as Axel, and then going like, oh, I unlocked Adam. What's up with that? And then going like, oh shit, this is way fucking better.
Yeah.
Like, man, that's that makes it a much better game. And then after I finished it, I'm like, well, okay, what else did they do with some of these other characters? Because I'd gotten like Streets of Rage 1 Axel at that point. And I was like, this is just weird. And then went back in on Mania difficulty and started playing as Cherry. And I was like, okay, like she's almost got that like that Sakura style, like she's gonna hit 12 times on an attack, and they don't necessarily do a ton of damage, but it sure looks a lot cooler.
It feels good, yeah.
And it feels good. Like she feels really good. Like she is much more mobile than either of those other characters and can get across the screen really fucking fast.
Yeah, she can run, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that, that's just more interesting, but also like the characters that feel less and less like Streets of Rage end up being like better characters. Like, I don't know. It's a weird balance.
I mean, you don't want to mess too much with the core characters and the characters.
Yeah.
They did have freedom with these new characters. That's where they kind of win all out. I think if they would have changed the original characters like Axel or Blaze too much,
then it's not. Exactly. Like it's a super hard balance. I don't want to necessarily like say, oh, they did a terrible job. It's more that like they're taking on nostalgia and in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
and that's a really tough thing to try to do. We've seen plenty of other franchises just fucking blow it. And so it's cool that they found like, and I guess that's why I say like, on its own, I think it's a better game than if you try to think of it as the next Streets of Rage game. And I think they capture elements of that, but I think but at the same time, parts of it just feel like it feels like a fan game. It feels, or not in that has a negative connotation, but I mean, it feels like a game made by fans that are maybe sticking a little too close in some ways and taking chances in not always the right spots. And if they had been able to sidestep that by just not calling it Streets of Rage 4, I think they would have had a more interesting game. But at the same time, we wouldn't even be talking about it because so many brawlers come out
Yep.
that are just like nameless things that like no one pays attention to. So like, obviously Streets of Rage 4 is going to sell more copies. It's going to do more business. It's going to get on Game Pass in a way that Hot Fury Avenue is not.
I saw that on Game Pass. I was totally surprised. I had missed the announcement completely. Saw it last night. Thought about downloading it.
Yeah, and in that context, like people should, and it's on PC Game Pass as well. So in that
Mhm.
context, people should absolutely play it. I think it's got some ideas and all that stuff, but it does not do
Enough for you.
it doesn't do enough for me on the music front specifically, and
Sure.
and also like I think it gets dull on the back half. But they made a pretty good brawler that's up there with some of the other ones we mentioned. Like in terms of just like how do you make a modern brawler, which I think is like a kind of insane. Like I think that's a difficult thing on its own, is to just like, okay, think about these games that were originally very short games that were in arcades, Final Fight and Double Dragon and the knockoffs that came in that wake, and then trying to transition them to consoles. You had stuff like Streets of Rage that were maybe a little bit longer, but still like games you're beating the day you buy them in a lot of cases. Golden
And there's
Axe,
the really
like,
dark path of like Double Dragon turning into a really bad fighting game.
Yeah. And well, it turned into a really bad fighting game, and then also a decent fighting. Like the Neo Geo Double Dragon is like, it's all right. It's all right.
That one's all right. It's based on the movie though.
Right. Yeah. It's so it's good. So yeah, I don't know. I think the brawler stuff has a hard road in a lot of ways, because like those games just have things kind of stacked up against them, and I don't know. I don't know that any brawler has really fully achieved like, hey, we've transcended all of this baggage of the arcade days and all this stuff, and found a way forward. What do you think? Like, you like Dragon's Crown?
Yeah, I do actually. I played that on stream.
Kind of. I mean, by making it like more of like a role playing, like, or trying to add hooks like that. Like, what do you think about that in terms of like, do you think that's a path for that genre?
Yeah, it's been done. Like, Guardian Heroes have done it. So, games like
There's
Charlie
even that
Murder
D&D brawler.
Those are from some of my favorite brawlers,
Right.
actually. Yeah, the D&D ones, it's a novel idea, I think, but I think for the most part, I just kind of like mashed through that stuff. Like it wasn't that interesting to me.
Right. Just let me get back to the punch and the kicking. And
and I do that. I think that's a layer of complexity that I don't think I need in those kinds of games. I want it, and I want that complexity in gameplay, and not in the actual like numbers and stuff.
Sure. Right. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Anyway, that's Streets of Rage 4. It's out now. It's on. I played it on a PC where the performance was maybe a little bit uneven, but I played some on Xbox also. Well, it's like the PC version it's got options like frame skip, like how many frames are you willing to skip to keep the game running, and if you set it to 0, it'll hitch up, and if you set it which is weird because this PC can definitely run that game.
Is that not due to like a network play?
No, it's not. It's not like a frame delay thing. It's like it read like emulator style settings of like.
I guess I missed that.
Like how many how many frames are you willing to drop the frame rate to keep things running, or would you rather the game just seize up? Seem to be some of the options. I tried it both ways and I was like, But on Xbox, I played it on Xbox One X, and it ran perfectly fine there. It's on the Switch. I don't know how it runs there, but
I got it on the Switch. Seems to run fine there.
Cool.
I got it on PS4. It runs well there, and I played it through the most times I think on PC. So
okay, yeah. I think I finished it on PC and then started fucking around with the Xbox version a little bit, but yeah, cool. Let's see. Predator. Jan, you played some of that Predator. What's the full name of this? What is the full
Predator
name?
Hunting Ground.
Yeah.
Made by the folks that made the Friday the 13th game, and it's similar
to
one of those. Yes,
right?
Ilphonic.
Raphael Sadiq's Predator Hunting Grounds.
Yep, full title of the game.
Yeah.
Played a little bit on stream, and it's similar to like a 4v1 where there's 4 what are they in Predator? Are they like soldiers, Marines?
Yeah, they're
Criminal.
Are they criminals?
No,
The
I'm
Predator
thinking of
one. They're just
yeah.
I've never seen any of the films except Alien versus Predator. But so you play as one of the soldier folks, or you can have the option to play as a Predator who's hunting the soldiers, and the soldiers
Mhm.
have a set of objectives they have to complete. So it's kind of PvPvE in a sense because
sure.
the soldiers have to like get to certain waypoints or watch a computer while they're hacking it. Meanwhile, they're fighting off AI enemies and with the Predator kind of causing havoc. And it's okay. I I played like maybe 3-4 matches. Didn't get a chance to play as a Predator. I should say like there was really really long queue times to get into matches.
Mhm.
And I think there was one instance where me and my teammates had completed an objective. The actual objective kind of bugged out and wasn't progressing. So instead of doing that, the three of us just wound up hunting the Predator and completing the mission that way, which was kind of neat. It kind of blows my mind that in a world post Apex Legends that doing waypoints or markers for your teammates is still kind of like not that great in other games, I guess. You can like click in the sticks to spot if you see the Predator, or kind of like point in direction to say like, hey, there's something here.
Hey, it's the Predator.
He's here.
But I wish there's an easier way to communicate with your team members in that sense, especially when like I don't know, communication is important in terms of like having to spot the Predator who's like leaping around trees or like to get to the specific objective.
Mhm.
And I don't know, it's like when I kind of got cornered by the Predator, it looked a little odd in that the Predator is just like slashing at me until I fall, and then from there they do an oddly animated stick their hand in my tummy and rip my spine out.
Oh,
Oh, sure, yeah,
Yeah,
like a predator would do.
yeah.
Like a
They want
Predator.
those.
Yeah.
They're hunting for those. I think. Yeah.
Are they supposed to bleed like Nickelodeon gack?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's canon.
Okay.
Yep.
That's absolutely canon.
That's what Danny
I mean,
Glover called it in those movies too.
Yeah, he's like, Nickelodeon gack.
Gack.
It was a whole thing. Yeah, Predator 2 was actually sponsored by Nickelodeon. And,
Mark Summer was behind the Predator operation.
yeah,
I can see that. They took
yeah.
the physical
No,
challenge.
He did some crap.
I've only seen Predator 2 once, but I've sure have seen Predator 1 a lot. And
I've
it
also
just seems like
never
it's
seen-
like built on that. Like it is, you are a team in the jungle and there's a predator, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the classic setup. Like, to any of the characters, is there like a Jesse the Body Ventura looking dude?
No, I mean I think.
And
He's busy. He's embracing his political career right now.
Oh,
yeah,
wonderful.
well, yeah.
You can make custom loadouts, and like kind of tweak your character, but all that's like hidden behind loot boxes.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, gotcha.
I got
Yeah.
a 6 skin though. I forgot it's like a royal gold on a gun that I don't have. I think, or no, I think I do have it. I don't know. I don't know.
Great.
Yeah, it works fine. You know, I'd assume it'd probably be more fun if I was playing with friends rather than strangers.
Sure, yeah.
And you know, those games are generally better when you're playing with folks you do know versus random folks that you can't communicate with.
Yeah,
Right.
if you get a team of like a full game of 5 friends together and
Yeah.
and all that stuff, maybe that's just more interesting. I don't know, man. I am of the opinion that there has never been a good game with a predator in it. Even those PC AVP games that people like, they never captured. I don't know. It felt like they never like made playing as a predator as fun as that seemed like it would be in the movie.
Yeah, there's I don't know. The whole game also felt a little bit floaty, and I don't know if like it's supposed to make like the soldiers kind of seem a little bit more fragile. But even when I was like watching the predator try and mow me and my teammates down, it just like lacked the oomph that a predator or like some type of hunter would have, I guess.
Yeah.
That
So I
was,
guess you
that
haven't
was
played as a
part of my
predator.
problem with the Friday the 13th game. Some people liked that one more than me, but for me, some of the kills were just like they felt very video gamey, like no impact really. It was just like Jason would like pick up a guy and then they would like explode or whatever. And I'm just like, I
mean, that sounds cool.
it's cool in theory, but like, you know, I come to that sort of game looking for a very visceral experience that like the movies give me. I'm just like, oh God, like I could feel it happening to me almost a little bit when you watch it on the movie, and then in the game it just didn't really translate.
So you're saying it felt like Mortal Kombat 3 cool and not Mortal Kombat 11 cool.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Because picking up a guy and making him explode, that's some MK3 ribcage type shit right there. Yeah, man, I don't know. Like I don't have much affinity for Friday the 13th, but that which certainly didn't help. But that game just seemed kind of busted. But we're like, it's a game with ideas, and then you either are willing to kind of sift through the clunky stuff around the edges to make the most of those ideas, or you're going to go do something else. And Predator kind of seems like that again.
It's cool. I should say that there is crossplay. So I was matching up with folks that are playing on PC, which is didn't Sony publish this?
No.
Okay, all right. I might be mistaken.
I don't believe they did. I mean, it's on other platforms. It's on the Epic Game Store. It's on other spots. So maybe they had some hand in distributing the PlayStation 4 version to some effect, but I don't know for sure.
Okie dokie. I haven't watched any of the Predator films, but the music in the actual game was good, and I'm assuming a lot of it's lifting from the source material, which is nice.
I'm like currently wrestling with like, should I tell you to watch The Predator? And like, look, it's I like that movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's in the first one? It's Arnold Schwarzenegger and
Jesse Ventura.
And Bill Duke. That's his name. Yeah. Anyway,
I had also never seen Predator 1.
I like it. Carl Weathers is in it.
Oh, I love Carl Weathers.
Oh,
It's where the fucking hand clasp fucking meme comes from. God damn it! You should probably watch Predator just to have the context for that. But at the same time, what if instead you just watched Commando, a better Schwarzenegger
Commando's
movie?
great.
Like, I'm trying to like, is Predator still like? If you haven't seen Predator and you've seen everything else, sure, watch Predator. It's fine, but it might not be.
I feel like Predator has been so quoted into the ground at this point with me. Like we had this conversation the other day because we have a Netflix DVD plan right now, and we're going through a bunch of classic movies, and we're just like, okay, let's watch this, let's watch this, let's watch this. And Soylent Green showed up, and we were like, do we even want to watch this? Because like the whole movie is the twist that got quoted so much in everything we ever watched as kids and stuff, and like it'd be a joke at this point. So like maybe actually we're just gonna send this one back.
Yeah, I don't know. Predator is a classic. I can't tell you one way or the other how it holds up. Like now that I think about it, like I'm pretty conflicted about it. That was definitely a movie that like I spent a summer probably watching it over and over again because it was just something I'd taped off of HBO or something.
Nice.
Along with whatever else I had taped off HBO, Commando, and just kind of going down the list. Heartbreak Ridge, weirdly enough, one of those movies. I don't know how that happened, but
should I watch the new Predator?
No, probably not. I don't know. I have no
fucking Brody.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, now I'm back on board. No, I don't know. I have no opinion on that other than I don't think Predator 2 was a worthy sequel to Predator. Like people have come around on it in a way that they certainly did not then.
It was like Predator Takes Manhattan, wasn't it?
Yeah. Okay. And like that's not.
The Predator went to New York?
Babe, Predator in the city.
I think so, yeah.
Like Danny Glover's like a cop and the Predator's there. And
who's the Predator hunting at that point? Just everyone or just
people, right? I mean,
society.
That's
Predators
too easy,
go to
then.
planets for hunts, and then when they started I feel like when they started building out a Predator lore, it just became like this super just like jack off, like whatever, man. I don't fucking care. Like the only people who wanted to tell you about Predator lore were the people like, there's a fucking alien skull on that ship, bro. Aliens versus Predator. Like everything when they made Aliens versus Predator in any format was just for me the most eye rolling. Like fuck these people, God.
It's like that Star Wars thing where like you see a character in the background and you're like, oh, that guy is cool as hell. What's that guy's deal? And then you like read the Wikipedia thing and it's like,
Right.
oh, he sucks
Oh,
actually.
yeah, no, this is stupid. Yeah, no, that shit didn't need to happen. What else? I played some Receiver 2, the sequel to Receiver.
Oh,
It's
What's
a
that?
game about guns and tapes.
Go
tape
on.
guns, like tape guns, or
No, not tape
No?
guns. And so Receiver, I want to say it was originally out on like Itch, the first game. I remember buying it, and it was like just some weird ass thing that was like, we want to really model the feel of a handgun and all the parts of it, and like you need to spin the chamber on this revolver and do all this different, like they had modeled a lot of different controls for manipulating a gun that weren't just hold it out in front of you and shoot it and then hit a reload button. And Receiver 2 seems like a somewhat more fleshed out version of that. So I streamed this, and yeah, so I'm trying to. It's kind of a run based thing where it eventually, like, basically, you need to find 5 tapes in the environment. It's a first person shooter, and there are sentry robots that you can hack. But if they see you, they start shooting in your direction. You can shoot them to knock them over. If you keep shooting them, you can eventually kill the turrets.
Mhm.
And I assume I want to believe that there's more to it than that as you go deeper, but I don't actually know. Because I could not get out of that first area. I got 4 of the 5 tapes
Oh.
once,
Oh wow.
but not the 5th. And so it's really a game about patience and being careful about how you use the gun. So they give you a revolver, and it becomes like, okay, there's a button for flip the cylinder out of the revolver, another button for dump the bullets out of the revolver, and
Holy
then one
shit.
to load new bullets into the revolver, and then you could spin the mouse wheel to spin the chambers around. Like if you you might have
That's
a
kinda cool.
pistol that has a shell stuck in one of the chambers, so that's going to be a dead chamber no matter what. So you want to
Oh
spin
wow.
past it or shoot past it, and it'll just click. And you can pull back the hammer and have the hammer already cocked. So when it comes time to shoot, it's less force on the trigger, which means you might be a little bit better of an aim when you take that shot than if you had to full pull to, get the
Yeah.
back and, double action, whatever. And so that leads to situations where you can holster the gun, and you need to holster the gun to hack. And if you holster the gun, you need to hold down the button to put it away slowly and safely. If you just tap the button
What?
and the gun is cocked, the gun might go off as you're putting it away,
Oh,
and you
Holy
wow.
shoot
shit.
yourself in the leg and dumb shit like that. And so they've really tried to model this out, and then you find all these tapes full of like that just sound like a bunch of like Scientology ass self-help type things about like, and there's a whole lore about the mind kill. And before the mind kill, everyone was training, like the receivers were training um to make sure all their handgun knowledge was second nature, because post mind kill, only the stuff that's second nature is going to stick with you. And it's like, it's heady in a way, but then I feel like the more I played of it and the more I saw of it, was dumb.
All right.
After the
Like the
after the
more
mind kill,
tapes you get and listen to, I'm just like, oh god.
what would
Uh,
stick with you after the mind kill right
what was
now?
with me after the mind kill?
Yeah.
Probably driving a car,
Okay.
pooping.
Ooh.
Oh
Really?
yeah.
Oh well, I have to expend a lot of mental energy on that. Just
Yeah, I'm somehow not surprised. I don't know. That's what those are my top 2.
maybe like microwaving a frozen burrito.
That's not. I'm not quite there yet. I still have to
Okay.
read the instructions and go like, is this a minute? Is this 2 minutes? What am I doing?
Right.
Like,
How loosely do I need to unwrap?
am I opening one end of the wrapper and putting this in, or is it coming all the way out of the wrapper?
Okay.
Different.
True.
I'm changing burrito brands so frequently that it's impossible to truly make it all second nature.
Do they
Uh,
have this same level of gun porn for any other weapons that you find in there, or are you just
so
stuck
I didn't find any other
revolver?
weapons, so I
Oh
assume
really?
there's other stuff in there as you get deeper in, but I don't actually know for sure. But yeah, it's meant to be kind of a lot, because it's meant to be something you have to think about.
That's
and
crazy.
be steady with for when the time comes, basically, which is not unlike actual handgun training in a weird way.
Sure.
And this is a lot of this stuff was in the first game, so in a lot of ways this is like a more fully realized take on the lore of even the first receiver. Had a lot of this kind of mind kill like stuff in it. But I don't know, the more I played of it, the more I was like, okay, this is conceptually fascinating, and I don't know that I want to play any more of it. It does have a really okay, there are two really cool things about Receiver 2. One, when you see yourself in as a reflection, you look like a cardboard cutout human target with target circles drawn on you.
Nice.
And they make to run, you mash the W key, so you mash the forward key to run, which is like an awkward way to run, but it creates this like the momentum you get when you're running actually feels pretty good, and then you can jump through windows. So you get running, you tap that button and get running, and then hit the jump button at the last minute and dive through a window. And sometimes if you dive wrong, you just go boom up against it, and you see the reflection of the target of the mirror, and you go, God damn it, and then back up and try it again. You can take damage from glass, I guess, in some situations through broken glass, but I don't think I had that happen. Anyway, it's interesting but not fun. And if you're into like that as just a heady concept, my hope is that the tapes play out better. But at some point, it just like had this real. I believe in the stream I said it's just like you expect the next tape to be someone reading like chapter 2 of The Fountainhead or something. It's just like come on. On that same stream, I played a little Pong Quest. We talked about how they have turned Pong into a rogue-like light.
Are there some times where you're the right paddle versus the left?
You're always the left. There is a multiplayer kind of online mode, and boy, so you play Pong against AI, which is already no thank you. Yeah, exactly. I'm throwing stuff around too.
Can't stand this.
Yeah. And then you are a Pong paddle with like clothing and facial features, walking around a top-down Binding of Isaac Zelda-looking dungeon screen. And if you get too close to another Pong paddle, it'll run over and attack you, and then you are forced to play Pong against it.
Oh no!
You find balls. You get different balls. And so you'll have balls that, like, when you hit them, they curve, and so you choose when to activate your special balls. And every time any paddle touches the ball, they take damage. And so you basically have to. That's how you eventually win. If the AI Pong paddle is really shitty, then you just get a ball past it, and that's it. It takes like 5 damage for losing, or 10 damage for losing the ball.
Okay.
But it'll take 1 damage every time it gets hit. But so do you. So you find ocean balls that restore health when you use them to try to make it through a floor, because it's got this permadeath kind of thing.
They're really not working with a lot of tools, right? It's
No,
like,
they're
what can we
not.
do with the paddle and the ball?
Everything about the pitch just has this sound of just like someone made this up as like someone was in a pitch meeting pitching Atari on something else, and then the guy across the table said, well, you got anything for Pong? We're thinking about that. And the guy just like bullshitted something out, and they said, that sounds great.
Roguelikes. Roguelikes.
And then someone had to go back and make a Pong quest. That's probably not how it actually went. Boy.
And included in cereal boxes.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
That would be great. It's bad. It's just straight up bad, man. It's
okay.
You're playing Pong at the core of it. You're playing Pong against AI, and that's just not fun in any way. So with that in mind, you're just like, okay, like just conceptually, this is already a no-go. But they sure did dress up a bunch of things around Pong to try to give it dungeons and little mini games. And at one point, you play Breakout, but
what? That's
it's a different game. They could have that Breakout quest.
Yeah, Breakout's actually a good game. Is the difference,
but not here. It's funny. It's funny. It's funny that it got made. The game itself is not actually funny. But it's easy to. It's fun to look at this and just imagine like business conversations that had to happen around a Pong Quest getting pitched and greenlit and all this other stuff, where they were like, no, we want to have shops in the dungeons where you can acquire more balls. And you know,
Auction
we're
the
gonna
balls.
quote other shopkeepers from other better games. And it's just fucking crazy that it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck did this? It's wild.
Who did do it?
I don't actually have the name of the developer in front of me. But
Jeff, is Warlords the best Pong game?
I mean, like, yeah, I guess so, because it gets really high speed. You're protecting something. It's like
It's got that fucking dragon.
Yeah, they got the fucking dragon. You get multiple balls. It's the ultimate thrill ride of multiplayer Pong meets Breakout. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, good take in the chat. Rocket League is the best Pong game.
Sure. Okay.
I like that. I like that a lot.
What if Rocket League was a Pong game and you just drove paddles?
That sounds like a good April Fool's thing for them to do.
Yeah,
I'm
surprised they didn't do a mini game mode where you're just like on a track. It's just like Rocket League, but you're trains.
Oh God. Oh, could you imagine though? Like, especially when you start adding more cars, and just like they're whipping around.
Yeah, like as you fill some meter, you get to add a car to your train to make it harder. But those trains can break if they get hit enough times.
Right.
So.
Is foosball Pong?
Potion.
Foosball is a Pong, yeah. There are modes in there's a game called Video Olympics for the Atari 2600, which is basically just like, I don't know, what if we made some weird Pong variants? And a lot of them are just kind of like, what if Pong was a foosball and you had 5 paddles instead of 1 per side and weird shit like that. So yeah. Foosball is a Pong.
Okay.
I really want to see. There's plenty of video of them around, but there's a big like physical Pong machine that uses magnets and stuff to move a ball around, and there's some electronics in there to keep the scoring working and all this other stuff. But they kind of made a big physical cocktail table that is a big ass expensive Pong table, and it sure looks neat. And I would love to look at one, but they are somewhat expensive, and so I would never in a million years buy one.
Is this something that's modern or like
yeah, like over the last year or two, it was made and then licensed. Like I think they originally were just like, I don't know, we're making this thing, and then Atari said, we're putting our name on anything, guys. Can this thing mine our cryptocurrency? No, well, shit.
No.
All right, let's do it anyway, I guess. It looks neat, regardless.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like that's it for games. Let's why don't we take ourselves a break and we'll come back and get into the news. There's a deceptive amount of news this week where it's a long list, but not necessarily a deep list. Stay tuned. All right, let's get into some news here.
Yes, please.
News.
Crack open a news beverage.
Damn, it's one of those days.
A news ball.
Yeah. I grabbed a bottle of concentrated cold brew coffee in the fridge, and I just grabbed it and opened it up and took a swig out of it directly. So,
Yeah, you don't need to dilute that.
No, I just need to put that in here to keep things going.
Just pour it over your head.
It's rub it in. It's rub it into the scalp. It's healthy. Coffee grounds too. You know, just put them
exfoliate.
Yeah, put them where the sun don't shine. Exfoliate down below. It's just nice. It's just nice. Assassin's Creed Valhalla was drawn and announced. I guess they
drew it.
Yeah, they had an artist. They did a long live stream where an artist drew a big thing of a Viking, and at the end of that, they were like, "Come back tomorrow for a trailer." And then they announced the game formally with the trailer and all that other stuff the following day. It's Vikings. I feel like that
Vikings
went around a while ago.
History's greatest assassins.
That's right. The most stealthy. So yeah, I had that big breakdown in my head as they announced it of just like, wait, or watching the trailer and stuff and go like, how did Vikings ain't assassins? Vikings, they're
Yeah, you forgot what Assassin's Creed has become, which is
Yes, exactly.
The
I forgot.
Witcher.
Yes, I forgot that at some point they said like, "Oh, that's not no the Ezio thing. That was a long time ago." Um, so I guess it's cool that the Viking has a hidden blade that he uses to stick fools.
Yeah,
That's true.
I'm honestly pretty excited. I've liked.
Yeah,
I
this
didn't
looks
play
cool.
the last Assassin's Creed, but I really, really liked Origins.
Mhm.
Which one is
Are
Origins?
you sorry? Would you say you're a fan of the Viking experience?
I would. I'm also a
Okay.
fan of boats, so
Ooh,
right.
nice. They got
We'll
boats,
see.
man.
What about Viking raids?
Yeah. Would you
Yeah.
like to hashtag join the raid?
Yeah, I mean, do I have to commit with a hashtag?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm afraid so.
Then I guess.
Okay. All right.
Hashtag be a
So
Viking.
yeah. So this is going to also be cross gen. This is PS4 and Xbox One, but it is also PS5 and Xbox Series X.
Yeah, this is the first
And then-
trailer that I saw that had, the Xbox Series X, I think, at the end of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cool.
And so this is also going to come to PC and Stadia. And yeah, I don't know. I thought their little cinematic trailer looks good. You play as
Yeah.
a named character. You choose the gender of the character,
Mhm.
and kind of go through the press release. Try to give a little more detail in terms of, hey, you can be political and try to talk your way through some stuff and make alliances that way, or just be a Viking and murder everybody. Which that's
Right.
when I think about Vikings, I think about being a Viking and murdering everyone, not like I'm the silver-tongued Viking, came here into England to tell you that we should be friends. Like that doesn't, and I'm sure some of that, if you go back through history, that I'm sure that there was something like that, but it
Right,
just
right.
doesn't, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
thematically, that seems strange for
Mhm.
what I think of when I think of Vikings.
In the trailer, they went out of their way to, to have the antagonist go, these godless, bloodlusting Vikings, but then they'd show the Vikings like, no, we will not be raping and pillaging today.
Yeah, pillaging,
We
yes,
will-
but not so much of the
Pillaging,
other
yes,
thing.
yes.
I hope
Yeah,
there's some cool, like, something Origins did really cool was those like big dream sequences where you fought like the snake and stuff. I think like maybe some Valhalla action could be pretty
Oh,
cool.
yeah,
sure.
sure, yeah.
yeah,
If-
fight a
when you-
giant
yeah,
snake.
Hanging
when you
out with
start to think
Odin
about what
as a big
Assassin's
raven. Yeah,
Yeah, when you start to think about what Assassin's Creed has become, I think there's a lot of like fun Viking shit they could get into.
totally.
Yeah.
So
You guys
Yeah.
watch that show at all, Vikings,
Edge is
Nope.
in it, right?
on the History Channel? What's that?
Edge is in it.
yeah,
Yeah,
is he
that's
in it
right.
every episode? Was he just in it a couple of them, or is he just like a recurring?
I don't
He's a
know. I
recurring
kind of
Viking,
dropped off
maybe.
the show, but yeah, I didn't get to see Edge in it, but I watched previous to that, and that show was pretty good. So I'm hyped for some Vikings for sure.
Yeah, why not? It's been a while since there's been
It's been a
there's
long
been,
time
like-
since Vikings have been around.
yeah, yes, it's been a long time since Vikings have been around. Absolutely, at least 6 months. But there was it's been a lot. There are not a ton of Viking games over the years, for sure. Even
There was that football game,
Yeah.
Madden.
Jerry
They're
Rice
there
and
all the time.
Unitas
Yep.
dog football.
Yeah,
NFL Street.
Yep. Yep. Uh,
The three
Viking of Asgard.
God of War.
Vikings.
God of War kind of a little. There's some,
Yeah.
there's certainly some Viking around the edges of that.
Yeah.
They are going to show Assassin's Creed Valhalla running on an Xbox Series X this week.
Exciting.
Yeah, that's so Inside Xbox will have an episode on Thursday. We are going to be live streaming, talking over that, and let's see here. They are so this thing they're doing on Thursday will be it'll have Valhalla footage. It will also have other third-party games. It sounds like Microsoft is going to hold back the first-party stuff for a similar event in July.
Okay.
And they have decided to put another naming convention onto their thing. They already had Inside Xbox, which was that's been their recurring broadcast, like a Nintendo Direct of sorts, where they make some. I feel like the announcements have been relatively minor so far that they've had on that show. Hasn't necessarily always been the most exciting thing, but this one sounds like a kind of a can't miss. And they have now also put the term Xbox 2020 with a slash between the 20s as a series of, I guess, episodes of Inside Xbox. Anyway, like it sounds like they're going to maybe be doing monthly stuff from here to the launch of the new console with,
Oh, sure.
kind of new stuff, and that's the Xbox 2020 kind of banner will have that stuff. And so that's how they can say, hey, we're going to show first party stuff in July. Like they're just trying to set up a cadence of like, here's when we will have new information. And I think that's kind of neat
Yeah.
to kind of get out there and say, hey, we're going to start to pre-announce our regular schedule of or the rough cadence of when you can expect more information about what we're doing with the next console, from third party games to first party games and all that
Sure.
sort of stuff. So this week I think Valhalla might be the only game they have mentioned by name. But they are going to say some things about smart delivery and which games are going to be like, hey, you bought it on Xbox One and now you will get it on Series X for no additional dollars.
Cool.
And that sort of stuff. Third parties that'll be participating in that. And so that sounds interesting. Phil
Yeah.
Spencer of Xbox got out there and spoke. I believe it was, God, let me load this up. MSNBC, I think, is where this interview was, and no, CNBC last week, and it basically said the hardware's on track for launch this year. And I'll just read the quote here that the Polygon pulled out. I'd say the bigger unknown is probably the game production. Being honest, game production is a large scale entertainment activity now. You have hundreds of people coming together, building assets, working through creative. Blah, blah, blah. On the game production side, I still feel good about it, but I also need to make sure the security and safety of the teams is the most important thing, and not unduly push when things just aren't ready. So, we talked about some of the PS5 stuff about like, hey, there's the COVID-19 situation is not necessarily impacting the hardware of the PS5, but
Right.
there's this kind of looming like, hey, software is getting harder to develop. WWE
Nintendo was out there saying like,
yeah.
yeah, Switches aren't being made.
Right. Yeah. But software development is getting is getting a little up in the air, I guess, is what I would say. And so Microsoft, in addition to committing to showing first party games in July, said Halo Infinite is still on for launch. But they haven't said anything about additional games yet. So we'll see. I have high hopes, man. I hope that this Inside Xbox thing has some bangers. I hope that Valhalla is not the biggest game shown, because if that's the one thing they kind of pre-announced and they don't have any other kind of bigger stuff, be like, okay, cool. I mean, the trailer looked good, so yeah. But it'll be interesting to finally see. I mean, they're saying they're going to show gameplay from the Series X, so
Cool.
that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
And we've
Yeah, I
got
wonder how much.
Yeah.
I would love to
When
see.
do I wonder when pre-orders become available, because I'm sure they want to top load their stuff, as much as, or front load as much as possible before that starts.
Yeah, I wonder. It's I mean, they need to announce a price, right? Like that's
Right.
usually like we're announcing a price, and then that's usually the countdown to pre-orders. If pre-orders
Yeah.
don't open right then and there, it's like, hey, and in 2 weeks we're gonna open pre-orders at retailers, or a month, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You got to figure by the end of the summer they're taking pre-orders on things, right? Like maybe
Yeah, I would
alongside
hope so.
maybe even alongside the July stuff. Maybe that's like, hey, here's Halo. Hey, get it. Get a pre-order.
Well, it seems
Here's
like
your
they're
Halo.
not gun shy about getting out in front of Sony, so I'm sure that it's going to be, before
Yeah,
that.
yeah. The Sony situation, I think, is interesting. Like their announcements have felt very off kilter and very like reactive, like the controller stuff. I
Yeah.
think they even said last week that it felt like
That was haphazard. Yeah, that just
Yeah.
kind of came out of nowhere.
right. Hey, they're starting to send these things out, so it's going to leak if they don't announce it. So they need to just
Right.
announce it and get it out there. And it doesn't feel like they have a firm strategy. And I'm not sure that they do. There was talking that
Right.
Bloomberg story we talked about a while back that like the board of Sony was having trouble just
Even just
meeting.
yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're just like having more trouble getting it together in kind of the
Right.
situation that we're in right now. or what, but it's
Very
been
well could be.
interesting. Yeah, to like the compare and contrast between the two strategies as they were.
Like
Um,
Microsoft seems like they've got their stuff together, you know.
right, and
Yeah.
all it takes is like one announcement, right? All Sony has
Sure.
to do is just come out and say, "Here's the box, here's the price, go," and like who cares about like any of this stuff once we're taking pre-orders and once the information's out there. Um, but the Microsoft stuff seems more measured and more focused on just like getting information out to people.
Yep.
And speaking of getting information out to people, we have a couple of events that have been announced for the June timeframe. EA has gone ahead and said June 11th they're going to do EA Play Live 2020,
Okay.
which is, they've been doing a press conference that around that time for years, and typically they would invite fans and the press to go, and it would be adjacent but not part of E3. This time it's going to be a live stream. You're going to hear a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of now it's just a live stream, but they've said they've got new games in the works and all this other stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what we'll see there.
Maybe
Right.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
like a Twitch- I- yeah.
hard? Okay, here's a question, and it's not specific to EA, but I'm curious what your guys' opinion is. We've seen a lot of ads start leaning really hard into like, hey, we're all separate, but we're together. Man, COVID is out there and it's changed
Yeah.
the world and changed all of us, but we can reconnect through the power of
Yeah.
our product.
Mhm.
How hard do you think people are going to lean into that?
Very.
Yeah.
Because I think gaming, like you're already seeing some of that stuff. Like I didn't pull the story, but like Microsoft was out there talking up Xbox Live and Xbox Game Pass as like just from a numbers, because they announced like numbers around engagement on a somewhat regular basis. But I think the spin on it this time was like you can see that these services are keeping people connected in a way that is more challenging in today's environment. And so I think you're absolutely going to see like if last year was like the hey, we care about community, please don't dox us. This is the hey, we care about community in these trying times.
Right.
I think that's going to definitely it'll cast a huge shadow over all of this stuff for sure.
That's a
I'm trying to
bummer.
think. Yeah,
Because
well,
those
yeah,
ads
yeah.
fucking suck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you will certainly be reminded of these unprecedented times
Right.
every few hours once all these different streams get going.
Good. I need to be reminded of it every
Yeah.
day.
Well, everyone's got to get out there and at least like address it, because if you don't address it, you're a monster, right?
Right.
I don't know what the right way to do it is. I feel like there's plenty of shows that we've started, but it's been like I feel like our approach. It's not even approach, but I feel like anytime I bring it up, it's been more of a. Can you believe this shit?
Yeah.
That's
And also the difference is like we're people telling like our personal stories and not our brand. Like we don't just come out here saying like Giant Bomb is
Giant
making
Bomb.
sure that in this time,
Keeping
In
maybe
these
I don't know. I haven't
unprecedented
read all
times.
the ad copy. I don't want to.
yeah. Yeah. No, we'll see.
Just to workshopping it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to hear that a lot. Also, June
Cool.
11th, there will be a Cyberpunk 2077 thing. They got on Twitter and said, "Hey, we're doing it." I imagine that's not going to be at the exact same time, because we've got the ultimate gaming traffic cop, Jeff Keighley, standing between us and the publishers and schedules to make sure that that everything runs on track. He got out there and announced something called the Summer Game Fest, which a lot of these, so a lot of publishers were planning on having digital events. They're planning on doing live
Right.
streams. Like
Mhm.
like in these unprecedented times, they were going to do a lot of live streams, and that was kind of already the plan. But there's value in having someone to say, hey, this is when this other company is going to go, and we'll assign some slots, and we'll try to put some branding around it. So Jeff
Make it a
Keighley,
bigger thing than
Yeah.
probably what it was to begin with.
exactly, and
Yeah.
that's something that I think will really benefit smaller publishers that might
Totally.
not draw eyeballs on their own. And so he announced, got out there and announced like a phase 1 of companies here. He looked this up. I Am 8-Bit is going to be a part of this, which is cool. They didn't get a chance
Mhm.
to be a part of E3. But oh, this is okay. Well,
They're gonna build the live stream experience.
yeah. Well, like they're do cool graphic design and stuff. I'm sure.
Totally. Oh, I know it.
Yeah.
It's easy.
I need to now look up Jeff Keighley's Twitter because the website for Summer Game Fest does not list the names of companies the same way that he
Well,
did.
that's not a
or
good
the-
sign.
Okay. So this is something that's going to be going down between May and August, which is a pretty wide berth. And like I said, this is a lot of stuff that was probably going to happen in some form or another. In fact, looking at this
Totally.
list, I'm like, yeah, they were planning some. Anyway, the companies so far confirmed to be announcing things between May and August are 2K, Activision, Bandai Namco, Bethesda, Blizzard, Bungie, CD Projekt, Digital Extremes, EA, PlayStation, Private Division, which is part of 2K, Riot, Square Enix, Steam, Warner Brothers, and
Wow.
Xbox. So
Steam, huh?
yeah, Steam.
Interesting.
That could be just that could be something like, hey, they're going to be a part of it in terms of like, hey, they're going to have a sale,
Or they're
or
gonna have some
or
like playable demos, probably.
exactly, yeah, playable
Yeah.
demos for some of that stuff, or like, hey,
Yeah.
we're going to be hosting these live streams here on Steam because they do that from time to time.
That's true.
That's my
Well,
guess.
this is bigger than I was expecting. This
Yeah,
very
yeah.
well could have been just like, smaller companies that wanted to get under this big banner just to get a little bit more exposure. But we're talking about 2K and Sony, and that's okay.
Right.
All right.
And I don't know what
We got
they're
a show. We got a show.
yeah, and I would be curious to know, like, not that it matters, but like, what is that? Does that mean that they are putting some money in to help promote the overall event by putting their name on this list? Is 2K and Square Enix, and are they putting some money forward to kind of help put this thing together? That's my guess is there's probably something like that, but
I'm sure.
but I don't know for sure. But like I said, there were always going to be announcements in this time frame. It's cool to have it spread out and not just all happen in that 1 week in June.
Hmm.
And to have everyone try to do a live stream and have someone live streaming at the exact same time as someone else.
Yeah.
Like, this is exactly what's needed is someone like a Jeff Keighley, who I think is like very well positioned to do this kind of stuff. To be there to kind of like wrangle it and
Yep.
put a bow on it and present it in a way that helps make it all seem a little bit bigger than
Yeah, it's in the best interests of everyone, because you would definitely have that. I mean, it even happens at E3 where, like, over the course of 3 days, like, you could be hot shit one day and then another conference comes on and just blows it out of the water. But like, you imagine that even amplified to the ability, like you were saying, of just like
Right.
multiple streams going on in the same day and nobody everyone's talking over. It just comes down to like, who has the best reactions on Twitter, because that's going to dominate. It's just
right.
don't have to
Yeah,
worry about that.
and having that situation of just like, because these companies don't they talk but not always in a strategic fashion.
Right.
Having someone who could be the middleman to say like, I don't know what their like weird deep confidential plans are, but I know they're planning it. There is an event planned in this window, so if you want to do an event, we recommend you do it here, or here, to try to kind of facilitate that for different companies. I think that's smart of him to do. There was a power vacuum there, and he has stepped up to fill it in a very intelligent way. And you'll have different outlets out there also trying to do their own kind of live stream events. I think GameSpot has announced something, IGN has announced something. Like the PC Gamer show is still, they're going to still do their thing in some capacity. So you'll still have outlets try to do that sort of thing. But Jeff Keighley's not an outlet. He is he's a presenter. He can kind of be a little more neutral in the middle of all this, and I think that's ultimately that's a thing that probably is needed, especially for some of the smaller announcements that'll just get lost in the shuffle otherwise.
Right. Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
Last of Us 2, a bunch of it leaked. Last
Gross.
week there was a lot of there's a lot of unverified talk over the last week that it was like, oh, it was some disgruntled employee that did this and that. There are now
People like to
reports-
speculate. Yeah.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
love. Turns out, people love to speculate. I mean, it's half this show, honestly. I love to speculate, but
But we're
now the
geniuses at
reports.
speculation.
That's right. the most uninformed speculation around. That's what I'm here for. Now there are reports going around, and I guess Sony has issued a statement to Kotaku, among other outlets, saying that the responsible party or parties are not affiliated with Naughty Dog.
Who was it?
And so now Kotaku has talked to some other folks around the edges of things, and basically this sounds like a hack.
Interesting.
This sounds like that there was a hack involved. It sounds like
Oh, I thought you meant that the person saying it was a hack. Okay.
the person saying, "Goddamn
That guy's a
hack!"
hack.
No, that guy's a hack. No, so it sounds like Naughty Dog uses Amazon like AWS servers or S3 servers
AWS.
or whatever, and it sounds like that they have put keys to their S3 buckets in the games themselves, and that it's been possible for people to find development material for some of those games by getting onto those servers, basically. So this guy who spoke to Kotaku, who goes by the name Pixel Butts,
That guy's a hack.
no, goddamn. Basically says like, hey, finding the key to Uncharted 3, if you got on that server, you would find development material for Uncharted 3. And Uncharted 2 it did the same thing, but also said that there was some content for The Last of Us 1 that could be accessed on the Uncharted 3 server. And so the theory here is that that process that Naughty Dog has been leaning on for a long time potentially led to someone finding a bunch of Last of Us 2 sitting on a server. It's very easy to believe that with in these unprecedented times, a lot of people working from home, you probably have a lot of files that you need to put on servers somewhere and all this other stuff. And
a little bit of an oopsie uploading. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe left their keys just laying around.
Exactly. Yeah. Or maybe it ended up on the same server that, like, if you were pulling apart Last of Us 1, maybe you could find a way onto that server. And I remember, like, Naughty Dog's been using Amazon for, I want to say they even used it for game delivery in some cases where downloads were coming off of Amazon instead of Sony's own servers, trying to speed up things.
Oh, wow.
I remember that being, anyway, that's something Brad would probably know better. But anyway, all of that stuff kind of points to this not being some scenario where someone pissed off internally at the company leaked a bunch of stuff.
Right.
But also, it's on last Friday, Sony told Kotaku that they had identified the people that had done this.
Oh.
So I don't know if those people will now get nailed to the wall for something.
Get hacked up.
That's right.
GeoHots back again.
That's right. They told them not to do it.
You can't change your nature.
That's right. George Hotz only knows one thing, and that's fucking shit up.
Fucking shit up for Sony.
That's right. Yeah. So that seems likely. That sounds that all lines up in a way that I look at and go like, okay, that actually connects some dots in a way that I think seems sensible. That's probably actually true.
Likely story.
A likely story. Marty Stratton of id got out there in defense of id as a result of Mick Gordon being out there talking about how he did not want to work with or is unlikely to work with id in the future on Doom Eternal music, and a lot of displeasure on the part of fans over some of the mixing and mastering of the Doom Eternal soundtrack that came with collector's editions. Jason, the look on your face says it all.
I'm bewildered by this.
It was quite the open letter.
Yeah, so Marty Stratton wrote a long open letter and posted it to Reddit, kind of giving their side of the story, because up until now it's been like screenshots of DMs from Mick Gordon of him saying like, I don't think I'm going to work with those guys again, and that sort of thing. And that led to fans going like, hey, the ones that he did are good, but then all these other ones have this Chad guy's name on them, and they all sound like shit. And Chad, I mean, look up his full name.
Now that we've said his word.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Um,
Chad Doom guy.
Chad Doom
Chad
guy.
Warden.
Yep, it was Chad Warden. Scrolling. Oh damn it.
So Mick Gordon actually didn't come out and say like why he wasn't going to work with these
It
guys.
was more like, hey, I wouldn't have done it that way.
Okay.
And that sort of stuff. And so a lot of his statements were more like, hey, I also don't think this is great.
Yeah. Not ever really getting into specifics, but more of just like, yeah, nope, not
Yeah.
we're good, not on good terms, and I don't love the work.
Yeah. And so this thing from Stratton, who's the executive producer over at id, just kind of spills it all out about like, it's like a timeline. It's like on February 24th, Mick reached out to communicate that he and his team were
Right.
fine with the terms of the agreement. So it's a lot of like loose talk about a contract and deadlines. And then on this day, we were expecting this. And then we
Wow.
needed it to be more tracks than this. And Mick said,
It really boiled down to like missed deadlines, right? And like kind of pushing
this
the
deadline.
goalpost back.
And honestly, reading this over, and Alex, who has also been involved in some music production, or producing some music along the way. I think he and I both looked at this and was like, this almost seems like all parties involved were not aware of how much work this was going to be,
Yeah.
and that maybe this project got away from them. Usually when you get to a place where you're like mixing and mastering music, a lot of that stuff gets sent out to someone else. And maybe that happens a little less these days. The tools have become more accessible and democratized, just like everything else around music production. But there are people who specialize in like finalizing an album for release. Like, hey, we're going to master this thing and get it out. And it sounds like Mick Gordon was doing that work, or was on board to do that work. And then at some point they realized they needed more music for this soundtrack to truly make it something that was going to satisfy fans, and need to be more. And basically just sounds like a bunch of like, to me it sounds like people that were not aware of how long it actually takes to do this stuff, especially when you consider that a lot of this music was probably written to be interactive. And so it's not like he's looking
Right,
at a 3.5-minute chunk of music and going like, here it is, it's done. I just need to mix and master it. It's more like, I've got all of these stems and clips and all this other stuff torn apart. And this is in this level, when there's combat happening, it sounds like this, but when there's
Right.
not combat, it sounds like this, and it's going to ramp into this and back out again, and all of that sort of stuff. So it may have been the case, and we don't really know. The open letter doesn't. It's a weirdly long, overly defensive. It's weird. Like, I get that at some point, like, hey, this guy internally who put in a lot of work near the end of a project at the last minute to try to salvage something that was going sideways did a fucking hell of a job under the circumstances, and people are fucking throwing him under the bus big time. Fans are giving.
I think yeah, the biggest thing to come away from it is like that the dude who y'all say is sucking is like doing his best. He's not working on the same level as Mick, because Mick, knows how to master these things his way. And I agree with you, Jeff, that like it probably boils down to an assumption of like, or a misunderstanding of how quickly this could have been done on its behalf. But at the end of the day,
even on Mick's behalf, I think to a certain
that's the
extent,
thing, is like Mick signed the contract, right? They gave him a date and he agreed to it, and his job was to do a thing by a deadline. Did they not give him enough time? Maybe, but like,
did the scope of that thing change?
Right.
Potentially. And I think that's the thing. Reading this, it doesn't. This doesn't. I suspect that they intended this open letter to read like something that would like absolve id. But I read it and go like, all right, this more comes across like no one involved truly understood what the task was here and the scope of it. Like, this seems like something that they tried to do their best with in a bad situation, and guess what? It came out shitty.
Yeah. Maybe a little clash of egos going on.
Maybe, yeah, and maybe a situation where like An external contributor like Mick Gordon is thinking like, well, I want to make all of this. I want to get paid this amount of money. So yes, I'm going to be the person to do all this stuff and not outsource it and not subcontract it to someone else. Like, and maybe that got away from him. Like, we just don't know. And we probably won't. And that's fine. At the end of the day, the audio producer at id is not necessarily at fault here. This seems like reading it to me, it just seems like a failure of process for everyone involved. That's my guess. And it just, but also it's I don't know. I guess I'm of two minds about it. On one hand, if you're a higher up at id, you want to come out and defend this guy that's getting a bunch of undue shit that he does not deserve.
Yeah.
So I get the desire to come out and say something. I think id is traditionally, unlike Bethesda, I think Bethesda is less this way. The id brand, the people at id try to be a little more community minded and a little more out there and talkative. And, they still do QuakeCon, even if that's now just kind of a weird Bethesda event, and less but still has the land, whatever. Like, id still tries to have ties to what id was before the acquisition. They're trying to be open, they're trying to be out there. So it's very sensible for them to come out and say something. At the same time, the length of this and the big breakdown and all this stuff, you're like, all right, someone's pissed somewhere. Like, this isn't just about trying to defend your guy that's getting getting a bad rap out here. There's like someone else somewhere is like weirdly mad about this thing, and they had to like overwrite and go like, on this date we did this.
Yep.
On this date we did this. And he said yes. It's like, it's just got a weird, the whole thing's got a weird vibe to it. It's sad. They mentioned at the end that they're going forward on Doom DLC without Mick Gordon. I wish him the best and hope that he wins the awards for and that it'd be deserved and all this stuff, which okay.
So yeah, I mean, and the aftermath of all this, that like you said, it's just a big bummer, that Mick Gordon's not being involved with.
Yeah, that sucks. And I look at this thing and go like, there's probably a lot of blame to be cast around in both directions here. I suspect, but I don't know, and it's fine. I don't need to know.
Chad, we love you.
That's right.
Chad,
audio hit your deadlines, Chad.
Is fantastic. I also don't necessarily want a Doom soundtrack. I think that stuff works great in game. And
the 2016 soundtrack was really good, and I don't even like metal usually.
I think the music there was probably a little better. Honestly,
not the only thing.
Hey,
boom! Hey. Sorry to the 85 comments that are going to be on this post about Doom Eternal now.
Sero, the Japanese ratings organization, that closed down on April 7th due to the coronavirus, due to these unprecedented times. They are reopening this week on May 7th, and they will start rating games again. They say they have found safer ways to do business, which I assume means they're going to make people sit on either sides of the office while they rate games.
What?
They're the Japanese version of the ESPN.
Yeah,
no, there's
what?
It needs to be Z. These people are fucking. Like, is it a visual novel or is it full on action? It's a visual novel. Okay, it's a D then, or a C. So that means games in Japan will get rated again. I think we were wondering if this would put a big delay onto releases in Japan because none of the games were getting rated. They were closed for a month, so that doesn't seem like it will cause a huge problem. I haven't heard of any games necessarily missing release dates or whatever due to not being rated, but that would be something that would affect games later on. So maybe they'll catch up, and we'll never know. Remember they rescheduled GDC for August?
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we look forward to seeing you in August in San Francisco.
Can't wait forward to that.
That's now a digital event. That's not
going
to
damn these unprecedented times.
Yeah. As predicted, that event is not going to happen.
Yeah.
And it'll be a digital event, which makes sense. You can still have those talks. You can still do that. The
you can
still part of GDC. You can absolutely do
those PowerPoints online. Yeah.
the social aspects of GDC, which is where I think all the truly interesting stuff happens. Oh well, that's not entirely true. There's some cool talks at GDC.
That can be digital too. They can have digital chat rooms where you meet and greet.
There are segments of the game industry out there having like big Zoom meetings where they're just hanging out, having drinks and just shooting the shit. I've seen screenshots. That is occurring in a variety of formats. Evo is also going digital. They're going to try to do Evo as an online event.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are.
They are. Uh-huh.
I mean, think about how much they'd be missing out on not having an event called Evo this year. Like for the organization, obviously, but for all the competitors, for the other publishers and stuff who want to come and make announcements during Evo. Evo's always a great time to make announcements for DLC, for new fighting games. It'd just be a huge bummer if there was no Evo. Obviously, it'd be great if it was in person, but
sure, but that's you can't.
It ain't happening.
You can't. And so I actually I saw a lot of people shitting on this because online tournaments obviously have a bad rap. But do you think it sullies the Evo name by doing an online tournament here, or do you think that's fine? Because I look at it and go like, well, yeah, of course you do this.
And of course you try.
Yeah,
you try as best as you can, but what? Yeah, it is gonna. There's gonna be an asterisk by this. Like anybody who wins this.
Absolutely. I don't think anyone who wins grand finals at Evo Online is suddenly on par with the people that win it.
Justin Wong's connection drops and you win Evo. Yeah, that's
could you imagine? That's how a final. Oh,
that very well could. That very well could. And this is it's admirable that they want to try.
Are they gonna have a way of enforcing that you're on LAN versus Wi-Fi?
Right. Well, some games do account for that. Not all of them, and none of the games that are lined up have that great of net code to begin with. So, do they change the lineup of games? Do they seek out other stuff? They use
they were supposed to do that.
Net code.
That Marvel 2 Invitational, the 20-year Marvel 2 Invitational. But
that's what. Yeah, I was really looking forward to that. That can't happen now. Yeah,
they can do that. They could do that next year. There's stuff like that. There's stuff like that that's not going to be able to be a part of this, or it'll be so reduced that it wouldn't be worth doing. And I would expect they would try to make some changes to the lineup, at least around that, and not try to do this Marvel thing. This way.
One nice thing about this is that now this opens the field to a lot of people who wouldn't otherwise ever be able to compete in an Evo, right? Because you have to fly to Vegas, you have to pay, the entrance fee and all of that. You have to stay in Vegas for a while. I mean, it's not like we said. It's going to be anyone who enters this is going to be on a different level than other Evo champs, but I think it's cool that people in other countries who wouldn't normally get to fly out and compete would get a shot at it.
I would take a look at it and think there's a cool opportunity here to be like, okay, we're going to have an online Evo. And if this goes well, maybe they keep doing it as a side thing, not part of main Evo. They still do main Evo, but they're like, hey, 6 months after main Evo, we're doing Evo online. And they should set up a thing where and maybe this would just go poorly, or maybe this would just illustrate how all netcode sucks or something. But it should be anyone who wins grand finals in any game gets an all expenses paid trip to proper Evo the following year. All right,
do tournament. Sure. They have some tournaments like that.
Yeah, where it's okay, you did your shit on the internet. Now come here next year and do it for real. I think that would be cool.
That could, yeah. There's a lot of wishful thinking. I think that's happening with it. In a perfect world, let's say that the netcode is great for these games. Yeah, it does open it up, for some new names to pop up in finals and shit like that. But with netcode being as it is, and Jeff, you mentioned that a lot of players are shitting on this, because they don't want to be in that situation, where they lose a game due to lag, right?
Yeah. But they'll have the ultimate excuse no matter what. It's not, you don't even have to get salty and be a jerk about it. It's just hey, it's a different thing. I think at this level of competition, anyone who is tuning into this, or most players, or most people who are gonna be aware of this are going to understand that it's like, hey, it's not really the same thing. We're
Oh
going to
yeah,
try our best
anybody.
to put on this thing, and maybe the results are not as legitimate as a proper Evo, but that's okay. It's still, let's just have some fun and try to do this thing and try to make it happen as best we can. I think
Oh,
that's
you think people play fighting games for fun? That's
just purposely.
hilarious. That's
Um,
that's very naive.
yeah, well, yeah, I guess.
No, I mean, yeah, these people are, if they sign up, they know what they're getting
But
themselves
that's the
into.
thing. Again, and you're right. If they sign up, they know what they're getting into. So if there are some players who are just like, I'm not willing to put my reputation in that situation where I lose to,
And I've seen
fucking
that, and I've seen people saying that they're just not going to enter if it's an online tournament.
sure, fine. They don't have to. No one's twisting their arm.
Sure.
And I don't. There's no one fighting game player that I care enough about that I'm like, I'm not watching Evo because this person's not going to be here. Like,
Right,
I want to see high level play, and I
Yeah.
would love for it to be all new people. In a lot of ways, I think it'd be cool, man.
Oh,
It'd be hard, man, because I think about like what we're doing, trying to uh, do all this online stuff and all the streaming stuff. But like, I feel like in the ideal situation, you've got them playing the game and they've also got a webcam and they're streaming in.
right.
You want something like that, and that's how you get around. Like, hey, point the webcam at your connection. You got a fucking cable plugged into the back of that thing or what?
Just think of all the great like pop-offs and stuff we're gonna miss. People just like jumping out of their chair and stuff. That's
Yeah,
and
totally.
like
Yeah.
it's gonna provide a challenge for commentators because when you're doing commentary with somebody right next to you, it's way easier than if you're like not even really looking at each other and you have to look at the game and maybe a webcam feed of each other and try not to talk over each other.
You could see a scenario where we're at a point by what is it? It's like usually like July, right?
Yeah. Well, first week of August this time.
Okay, first week of August. So maybe you get the commentators in the same room and they're seated far enough away from each other, and you got a plastic shield between them, and they can still be there live doing.
And they
their
each fly out in their own private jet.
Exactly. Yeah. No, you drive one to the other. You put one in a car and drive them to the other one's place, and you do it right. I mean,
You drive them to each of the top 8 finalists' house.
right.
And
There you
just do
go.
it
And out
there.
front and look through a window with binoculars and go like, I think he's pulling his cable. I think he's pulling his network cable. He's got a lag switch in there. I know it.
I can see it.
I can see the lag switch.
Got a
There's
sniper
glow
scope on it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see like just how crazy this gets. Just
Yeah.
just to watch the spectacle. Just like when we were going to watch wrestling. When there wasn't going to be a crowd in there, and how different that vibe is going to be. It's going to be just a different kind of vibe for a
Yeah.
fighting game tournament. Because so
Totally.
much relies on the crowd.
Right. Yeah.
As far as
And-
the hype and bringing it.
Yeah.
They should just do an open Zoom call that everyone in America or everyone in the world can join and just go.
There you go.
Or they just have everyone record themselves going, oh, and send it in. And then
You have a hype man who's like doling that out. He's got a knob and like
on a
which hype out.
soundboard and everything.
right
Yeah.
here, I can hit buttons over here and just feed them whatever. It's fine. Yeah, I will be interested to see how this goes. I'm sure it will be a shit show for people that want a traditional Evo, but like, of course, it can't be that. So
The trolls are going to eat this up. Eat
whatever.
this up.
That's-
I know.
Yeah, and anyone who is like, so I feel like that's maybe this is harsh. I feel like it's a very fragile stance. Like you have a very fragile self-image if you're just like, I'm not even going to enter. It's like, well, what are you afraid of?
Right.
Like, if you lose, it's an online Evo, and you go like,
Yeah.
well, hey, it's a different thing. And anyone who knows will know, hey, it's a different thing, and understand that. But like, just fucking do it. Like, whatever. Just fucking do. What else are you doing? You're just fucking
Yeah,
sitting
right.
around at home. If you get blown up in an online tournament in pools, you're gonna be like, well, fucking internet, I guess. The same way all these NASCAR drivers did, but hopefully with less cursing. Like, whatever, man. Just, what are you doing? Might as well. Updates to Valorant. I'm specifically talking about the anti-cheat aspect of Valorant. Ben, you said you were found yourself getting more into it.
Yeah, I've been playing a game or two most days these days. I don't know what it is. I feel like I've gotten just decent enough that I'm not having complete stomps anymore.
Mhm.
And then this news was another like, okay, I can feel a little bit better about playing it.
Yeah. So the short version here, they posted an update. They have updated Vanguard, which is the anti-cheat aspect of Valorant. This, of course, was causing a lot of controversy controversy. Um, because it's a low-level driver that is always running on your PC from the time it boots up, whether you play Valorant or not, as long as you have it installed. So they've made some changes to it that doesn't actually. Well, I don't know. So now Vanguard will run in your system tray, and you can right click on that to disable it. And you can also uninstall it completely. But in either case, and this is where it doesn't really change, you will need to reboot your PC to play Valorant if you decide to unload their driver,
Oof.
because it's a driver that needs to be there at startup. Because if it's not, then you could tamper with something first and then load the driver. At least that's the case they're kind of building. Um, and Yeah, that's the long and the short of it. To play the game, you need to have booted up with Vanguard running, and you need to have left it running since boot. And you can now kill it, kill the process, which you could always uninstall Vanguard from like your remove programs menu. But then when you launch Valorant, it says, "Hey, you need to reboot," and then you reboot, and then it will let you play it. So this is still that, but now they've made it a little bit easier to remove that process once it starts at boot. It will still start at boot if you leave it installed, which this doesn't seem like it actually changes much of anything.
I think it's a step in the right direction. If maybe they couldn't overnight, address everyone's concerns, maybe this is a sign of, hey, they're working towards a solution.
I feel
Maybe.
yeah, I feel like it's more like reading what they've written. It sounds like that they are very dedicated to this approach, and they're just trying to find a way to make their uh, uh, kind of overreaching approach more palatable to people, because they're citing stuff like, hey, we need to be able to detect if someone has soldered in Siberian parts into their computer,
As people do.
which as
As
people
they do.
not unheard of. I mean,
As they
they're
do.
not just pulling that
Yeah.
out of thin air, but fuck, man, I don't know. Like this just it seems like a lot. And I get that you want to take the game seriously so that you can have a cheat-free environment, but also the game has still had cheating. So even if they've got an explanation for why there's been some cheating already, it still doesn't look good. On top of it, it's like, oh well, on top of that, you're not even stopping the thing that this is supposed to be stopping. It's just an awkward thing all around.
Mhm.
And now like an extra hoop people have to jump through or consider to play the game. Like, is that the best thing for the game? For the best thing to grow an audience for that game is to make
Yeah, I
people
wonder.
do this thing that no other games are doing right now? If that was like a differentiator and you're like, we guarantee no fucking cheats because we've gone this extra mile, but they can't. They're like, well, this gives us a better situation to stop this shit, and hopefully no one hacks our driver. We'll update it if we'll update it if there's a problem. You know, like, okay, what if that problem gets a bunch of people hacked first when you're trying to finish?
Sure.
I don't know. It's all theoretical in a lot of ways, but this still seems like it sucks. It seems like a long way to go to play a fucking hero shooter based on Counter Strike. I don't know. Like, this doesn't seem like the game for this. I don't know.
They're hoping it is, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, but what if this is, hedging a lot of, cheaters, Ben, you said that you're apt to play a little bit more knowing that there isn't as much rampant cheating, right?
Yeah, and I haven't encountered any cheating yet in my, whatever 25 games I've played.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that this is the major step. It's a step in the right direction, I guess, but the means is suspect for sure.
Yeah.
It
I
just feels
agree.
like they're just like kind of digging in around their position and trying to
Yeah.
give as little as possible. And they're like, hey, you're still going to need to reboot with this driver running if you want to play the game.
No,
And it's like,
no, I don't want to deal with that.
no,
I
that's,
no.
Like no other game I can think of does that, and fuck
Right.
this. Like I'm just
Yeah.
like, but again, like I'm also not the audience for a hero-based Counter-Strike clone.
Sure.
It's just not that interesting to me to begin
Well,
with.
Jeff, what if I told you that you have another option? I don't know if am I skipping news stories?
Yeah, I don't think you are. Go ahead.
Well, I was just y'all saw that Crucible.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so-
Amazon finally, I guess, re-announced. They talked about Crucible a while back, and that'll be out May 20th. It's a free-to-play hero shooter with the 3 modes that they show, coming from Relentless Studios, which is a team within the larger Amazon Game Studios. It's coming to Steam, so it's not some like. I think there was a lot of, at least a little bit of speculation early on when Amazon started announcing games that maybe their PC games would only live on
An Amazon launcher
with the
or something.
Twitch app, you know, like
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
the reskinned Curse app that they bought or something that they use for Twitch Prime. But they did say it would come to Steam. Yeah, they put out some video. Ben, you're a Valorant.
yes,
What do you think of Crucible?
it looks. I mean, it looks like it.
To me, it looks more like, and
except
maybe
it's-
it's just they named it Crucible, but to me, it looks like one of the modes at least looks like the Gambit mode from Destiny.
It definitely looks a little more Overwatchy than Counter-Strikey. If we're like specifically looking at these, like it looks like abilities are more of a thing. Like your role, like the tanks are more tanky, right? And the DPS is all about DPS. I don't know. I mean, that genre I feel like comes down to how well designed are the characters. And since this is, I don't know much about the team behind this game specifically, but you know they obviously haven't, as Amazon, released anything else, so it'll just come down to how it works in the game. I don't know. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I think I will check it out as well, just because I'm fascinated by Amazon getting into games. They did that Grand Tour, whatever that driving game. That was like
Grand Blue
Top Gear
Fantasy?
guys, whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah, Grand Blue Fantasy, that driving game. Grand Blue Turismo, I think is what it's called. No, what did the fucking Top Gear fuckers
Oh
now
yeah,
make the show
Top
for
Gear.
Amazon and or whatever that's called. Anyway, they put out a game
Grand
of that.
Tour.
Grand Tour. It sucked. That game is terrible. Especially like when you think about their brand as like, we are serious about cars but also have fun with cars. Like that game is fucking terrible. Just in terms of handling and all this other stuff, like it is not a good driving model on top of everything else. So I'm interested to see, you know, as Amazon tries to get deeper into games. I feel like they had a Breakaway, which was a game they killed. They had that in some form of beta at some point. And Crucible, they have been trying to. Crucible was initially going to be a GDC event. Like, hey, come play Crucible. We're having a thing.
Wow.
And then it became a, hey, we're going to stream some Crucible privately if you want to write a preview. Then there was like, that's back on again. We're still like, there's been like, I've gotten like multiple emails about Crucible over like since before GDC, since before all this stuff, about their plans to eventually kind of reveal Crucible gameplay. And it's coming out on May 20th, so it's out in a couple weeks. And we'll see it then. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It looks like it looks flashy, I'll say.
Okay.
Footage
Yeah.
has a, you know,
It's got some style.
Yeah, it's got style. New Mortal Kombat stuff tomorrow.
Cool.
They teased this morning. And I don't. The tease almost makes this look like it's going to be story DLC. And
I haven't seen this, so describe it to me.
it is the ending of the story mode with Liu Kang and Raiden getting ready to reform reality. Spoilers.
Right.
Yeah. And then a portal opens up and Shang Tsung starts walking out of it.
Oh boy.
God
Stop! You're
damn
gonna
it!
fuck up everything.
Man, that ending was just leave it as is. Please don't mess with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So a portal opens. You see 3 figures, and you hear Shang Tsung's voice telling Liu Kang to stop before he ruins everything.
Right.
and that's kind of it. And so I don't know if this is just going to be like, hey, we've got 6 more characters, because obviously they're going to do another combat pass and another batch of characters, or if this is actually going to be some kind of gameplay thing,
Yeah, I
or if
wonder.
this will just be a trailer that is technically set after the events of the story that then introduces the new fighters. I don't actually know what it is. I know they have told some people, some other outlets about what to expect, but I have not talked to anyone that got that pre-brief, so I don't know.
Gotcha.
And at least I'm pretty sure they got some people together. But yes, we'll know more
Nice.
tomorrow. They said that they were
Okay.
going to show that stuff, so we'll
I'll
see.
be tuning in. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It's been a bit since I played any Mortal Kombat. I've kept it
Yeah.
installed everywhere and always think about getting back into it, but I feel like I never I don't like their add-on characters all that much most of the time. I feel like they go guest heavy in a way that, I think I've said multiple times why I don't like their guest characters. And
I've kept the game installed in my heart.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
No, I haven't played it much. Yeah, the characters that they've released post game haven't done it for me. But
Yeah.
I was playing that game very heavily, like every day.
Yeah.
Even just doing just like offline stuff. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it's fun. But like, I feel like even, this might bring me back to the game as they get ready to do more characters. But I feel like I'll still probably play a Scorpion because I've already put in so many goddamn hours playing a Scorpion.
Yeah.
That I don't
This
know if
is
that's gonna change.
oh Christ. Yeah, this is the first time that I can safely say that if they release story content as DLC, that I will actually play it. Like in a
Yeah.
fighting game. Can you
Totally.
imagine that? Yeah, that's
Right?
Yeah, that's actually insane.
wow.
Yeah, I hope it. I think that would be really cool if they do something like that. Just to do a whole crypt add-on while they're at it. I don't know.
Crypt overhaul.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That would be still probably beneficial to that game if they overhauled a lot of the unlockables and crypt stuff and all that. There was a big Nintendo leak.
Gross.
A huge yeah, well, he's out there podcasting, talking about his height. Reggie's out there making it happen.
Playing Animal Crossing, yeah.
So gosh, this has been attributed, and I'm not 100% sure if this is a company called Broad On developed a lot of aspects of the Wii, and that there's been they've apparently this stuff was hacked out of their servers at some point, but it is a very large dump of crazy shit that you never get to see, ranging from it's a lot of like source code and SDKs for the internals of the Wii.
Oh Christ.
The Wii operating system is called iOS, which is not the Apple iOS, obviously. And the iOS system is something that as people started to hack the Wii and stuff, there was a lot of talk about, iOS 59 and this and that and all this other stuff. Apparently the source code to iOS was part of this. So a lot of like deep internals, a lot of technical descriptions of the hardware for the Nintendo 64, like Verilog, like just the language that defines what a chip is, like that source code potentially being a part of this. And it's a batch of crazy shit that never ever gets leaked. Like we hear about like, this prototype leaked out, or this leaked out here, or hey, we got this document that shows this, and little bits and pieces. But this is like a wide array of things. Source code to some games, the different SDKs for developing.
Right. Didn't Pokemon, like a few Pokemon source codes get leaked?
Debug builds of Blue and Yellow, the source code for Blue and Yellow.
Holy shit.
The
I can find Missingno now.
Right, yeah. Some demos that were shown at Space World 99 are apparently part of this.
Weren't there a bunch of like internal corporate slides
Yeah,
too?
there's also some PowerPoints and stuff. There's the one
I
that's been
saw.
making the rounds is the one about the friend code stuff.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Um,
That one being that the reason that they opted for a numerical friend code being assigned to you rather than a username or something like that is people might get upset if the username that they wanted has been taken already. So yeah, you know
so
how
no one
you
can
love to
change
like
one
go
ever.
out, buy a Switch, $400 there, $500, whatever. Sign up for the online service. I'm like ready to go. I type in my username. Oh, somebody else took Big Ben 69. Guess I'm never playing Switch Online ever again.
Yeah, you're taking your Switch, you're breaking it over your knee, and you're throwing both pieces in the garbage. On a in a garbage can that's on a rooftop, though.
Yeah.
Right. It's like a
That's the
cool
power of the
dunk.
Switch. Yeah. Yeah. So yes, the documentation around the friend code stuff is dumb, but it also speaks to just like how they thought about the Wii and the types of players that would use the Wii.
Right.
And all that sort of stuff, which there's some documentation in there about like specifics around WiiWare and why developers should develop for WiiWare, and it's like all fascinating stuff. I haven't dug through this. I'm not in possession of any of it, to be clear. But it's a wild dump of shit, and so a lot of
So what
the
does it crack open essentially? Like, what could we potentially expect from?
so Verilog versions of or Verilog code for like the N64 and the GameCube and the Wii and stuff like that's similar. That's a potential. We talk about the MiSTer, we talk about FPGA,
Yeah.
and we talk about like that stuff. That is the language that is one of the languages that can be used to document those chips for use in that type of environment. So with it's basically like all the work you would do reverse engineering an N64 is laid out right there for you.
Wow.
Um,
Crazy.
and so if there are emulator authors, this isn't going to result in anything good. It is kind of my feelings on it, because anyone who is really truly good enough to benefit from this stuff also knows that if they use it, um, Nintendo will find them. That Nintendo will know that
They'll
it got
find
used,
you.
and it'll be
Right.
like, "Oh, you clearly used our stuff for this. This is stolen information, and you are now a problem. Like you are now our problem, and we're gonna lawyer up and come for you."
They
Uh,
do that.
yeah, they do that.
They do that.
And so it's much easier or much less dangerous to actually reverse engineer the chips and work from that stuff in kind of more of a clean room style setting. Touching this kind of like fruit of the rotten tree type stuff is just a recipe for disaster. So you may
Huh.
find so that results in you might find some emulators come out that are closed source and surprisingly good, which has happened over the years in a couple of cases where you're like, wait, why is this closed source? Like most emulators these days are open source, and you start to back out of that and start to wonder, like, hang on, that's because you stole some shit, huh?
Right.
And you don't want anyone to look at your source code and go like, here's the shit you stole from Nintendo. And yeah, so any kind of self-respecting emulator author or FPGA developer or something like that that intends to contribute to that scene and do that widely, they're probably never going to want to touch this stuff, at least not in a open way. And also, honestly, Dolphin runs GameCube and Wii stuff just fine now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't really need it. There may be some little things around the edges that they could benefit from that would but they've Dolphin the Dolphin team, as I understand it, has definitely kicked out contributors over the years that have like maybe hinted at having access to stuff or some the SDKs leak out all the time because third party devs get those and those are everywhere. And but anyone working from those or trying to use those to help, like there's like, we don't want anything to do with this shit. We want to be totally on the up and up, and not expose ourselves to reprisal from Nintendo. So this stuff's fascinating. There's some N64 test ROMs and stuff that there's video footage of those running out there, and they're just like little non-games in most cases, just like, hey, look at these weird tech demo-y things and stuff like that. I would be very interested to see what the Space World 99 demos that are on this list, what that consists of. Because I'm trying to think, like, there's an N64 game I have been loosely obsessed with for a very long time, um, called Echo Delta. Uh,
Okay.
okay, that was shown at Space World 2000, not 99, so maybe that wouldn't ever be a part of this, but, and it was like this underwater sub game, and it was like,
Okay.
like they had it there. I went to Space World in 2000 and played it and wrote a preview of it, and I was like, that's a cool little thing. And then it got canceled. It was mostly complete and it got canceled. And I recently heard about a couple of dev carts, like prototypes of it that were in collectors' hands, but it's not been dumped. It's not been widely released. It's not something that people could just go find and play. The same way you can like Glover 2.
Sure.
But I've always been interested in seeing that game again. And so I'm part of me hopes that maybe there'd be something like that in there, but unlikely.
Not today.
Yeah.
Not this dump. Not this leak.
Not this leak. There's been some people kind of suspecting that maybe there's way more of it that hasn't necessarily made it out wide. But we shall see. Polygon ran a story today attributing to a professional skateboarder named Jason Dill, who claims that a remake of Skate 3 is in the works.
A remake.
The game everyone's been asking for. Every EA Instagram post, it's just like Skate 3 remake, Skate 3 remake, Skate 3 remake.
Yeah. And so the quote here that he gave on his podcast, or a podcast called The Nine Club, not his podcast. He's a guest on it, it appears. He says, I got a call from the EA people about 10 months ago, and they said, hey, we want to talk about the skate game. I said, oh, fine, that's fine. And they said, hey, Jason, we want to do a mobile version of Skate 3. And I wrote back and I said, what else? She wrote back, no, that's it.
Oh man!
So I wrote back, look, no big deal. No one wants your what?
What?
No one wants your stupid mobile version of Skate 3. Make Skate fucking 4 already. Just do it. Just make the game and just participate again. You can't level it to the same numbers you get on other games. You do it for a cultural thing that pays you back later, and that's how corporations fucking work if they play their cards right. And she wrote me back and basically said, no, we're not going to do that. So I wrote her back and said, well, have a lot of luck on Need for Speed 29. I won't be in your stupid mobile game. I think it's
Whoa.
That's a selection of quotes that Polygon took from that episode of that podcast. So who knows? I saw another story today that I don't know if it was the same interview, but it was a clip going around of a skater saying like, hey, they're working on a new Tony Hawk, right? So a lot of weird skate news around this week. And we'll see if anything comes of that stuff. A Skate 3 remake for mobile just doesn't seem like something that EA would do. A Skate 3 port to Switch sounds very much like something EA would consider.
Sure. Yeah.
And I could see them maybe looking at the Burnout Paradise remastered situation and saying, hey, let's do that for Skate 3. I could see that. I could very easily see that happening as something they do instead of doing Skate 4. Or hey, and if it fucking blows up, maybe that gives them a reason to do Skate 4. Otherwise, it's Need for Speed 29, I guess.
Yeah, it's having all these Instagram posts, people putting their money where their mouth is and saying, okay, all right, we'll buy this.
Right,
And
exactly. Like if there can be proof that yes, all of those people commenting on all those Instagram posts actually, well, which I'm sure that they have run the
prove the bully's right.
Right. Yeah. I bet actually if you total up the number of different accounts that are posting about Skate 4 on EA's Instagram, it is not enough to justify production of a Skate 4. I bet the number of people that are like keeping that going, it can't be it can't be enough. It's not 1 million. It's not 2 million. It's not 3 million people posting on EA's Instagram. So that's what I'm
But if
saying.
they just come out and they're like, check it out, Skate, we're rebooting it. It's Skate 1 again. Or like they just go to Skate 5. You know, I feel like Skate 4 is poison. You can't make a game called Skate 4, but they should make another Skate.
They should make it. Yeah. At the end of the day, I don't even think keeping the numbering after all these years matters. I think, yes, it would be, let's make a new Skate. They'll make Skate It 2. Skate It was the weird version of Skate for the Wii that I think you tilted the Wii remote. It was not great. They should just do a sequel to that just to piss everybody off. Yeah. So we'll see. I wonder if that could be something we hear about at EA's stream in June.
Oh, sure.
Because that might start to make sense right around now. You know, especially like honestly, when you start thinking about how hard it will be to do motion capture or voice recording, like the new Guild Wars 2 expansion isn't going to have any voice work in it because they can't get the voices recorded due to these unprecedented times.
Right.
So I wonder if remakes like this probably make even more sense now because they're just like, well, we literally can't do new mocap for a new skateboarding game right now. So, you know, it makes even more sense to do it in the middle of all this shit. 'Cause
Sure.
they've already got all the voices recorded. They've already got all that stuff done. So we'll see. I don't know. I would not be shocked to see them do something with Skate at their event this year.
Okay.
It seems like it's been just long enough. It's just past the point where like it was really hot for a while, like the fervor around like make a new Skate. What the fuck are you people doing? Like that's died down just enough to where they'll announce it and people will be like, oh right, yeah, Skate, yeah. No, we did want one of those. We want something else now. And also this is a remake, so whatever. We want Need for Speed 29 now.
Nobody wants that.
Not yet. But they will.
Yeah. Let's take another break.
All right.
And we'll come back with your emails, your your B-mails after this. Now we're back.
They blew up Skulltown.
What?
Oh
What?
no.
I just watched the new Apex trailer that just dropped, and they blew up Skulltown.
Why?
But Skulltown is fun.
I know, it's where all the bones were.
Yeah, it's the Bone Zone.
I know.
That season's like it starts the 12th, right? It's coming
12th,
up-
yeah.
pretty soon here. Yeah.
Loba.
I mean, my webcam came with a drawstring bag. I just found it.
Why?
Like I don't know. Like I'm gonna take the
'Cause you-
webcam with me someplace.
Yeah, right. You travel with it? Yeah.
No, it's like my Logitech branded Benoit balls gonna go in this thing. Like what?
There you go.
I don't know.
That looks
I don't
nice.
know.
That looks like a nice
You
bag.
can keep like dice,
Yeah,
all your D20 in there.
I'll keep all my dice, all these dice. It's time for the part of the show where we do check out your emails in a segment we call B-mails.
Emails.
First email comes in from Michael. Hi, Mike. That's just
Hi,
me.
Mike.
He doesn't say that. It'd be weird
Hi,
if
Mike.
he started the email
Yeah,
with Hi,
like,
Mike.
hello, Mike. Yeah, if he just wrote a full script about what we are supposed to say, it would actually be way.
And this is
easier
all
for
part of
everyone
it. I
involved.
gave
Yeah.
it to everyone,
Mhm.
including the part where I talked over Jeff.
Yeah.
Hi, Bombcast.
I poop my own pants.
Oh, that was my
That
line.
wasn't the script.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
was
shit,
James.
sorry.
Edit.
Line.
I poop my pants.
Hi, Bombcast. I pooped my pants. No. I moved to Seattle in early March, 2 weeks before Washington State began its self-isolation order. Since then, I've basically only been to the local grocery store and an assortment of places I've ordered takeout from. When lockdown lifts, do I get to say, I just moved here when I talk to people? It's not technically true, but I haven't done shit in this city yet. And I've actually lived here for a while, but I moved at the start of the pandemic, so I haven't really gotten to see anything. Is too much backstory to tell a stranger. Thank
I would
you,
just say, yeah,
Michael, formerly from Dallas.
I would just say I moved here 2 weeks before the lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone
Right.
will remember that specific time in their lives.
Sure, but like, okay, let's imagine like, you're asking for directions, and somebody's like, "Well, are you new in town? You just move here?"
For those people that you're just having a passing conversation with, you say, yeah. Because sometimes I'll say that to people because, like, I don't, when people ask
Right.
me for directions in San Francisco, I know how to get to where the office is, and that's about it. So people are like, hey, what's good to eat around here? Like, even places around the office, people like say,
I
like,
don't
hey,
know.
you want to have a lunch
Nowhere
meeting?
near here.
And I'm like, sure, you pick a place because I don't fucking know. I bring a lunch, and also they close the subway, so I don't know what the fuck is around here. So in those cases, I would absolutely, even now, I would say, yeah, and just go with it. Just who cares? But people you're having actual, real human interaction with, I would, you could say like, oh, yeah,
It's a good opener. Yeah.
I moved here right before all the shit, man. And you could probably just leave it at that, and they'll go, oh, okay.
Well then. Yeah, that'd be fine.
You know what else is fine? Brandon's email. He writes in and says, "Hi Bombcast. What are your favorite instances of bad guys getting their comeuppance, just desserts, or general satisfying ends? Bonus points for ironic twists of fates." He includes a couple examples like Super Shredder, Jafar wishing to become a genie and then getting trapped in the lamp, and of course Vince McMahon's Kiss My Ass Club coming to an end when Rashiki gives him the stink face.
Oh, damn it. There goes mine.
I definitely thought of Scar from Lion King as being kind of a standout one happening, at the spot that it happened to his dad.
That's
I think
true.
it's not an ironic twist, but I think at the end of RoboCop when Dick Jones gets his,
Yeah.
especially in the
Oh, that's
uncut
a good scene.
version where they, oh no, it's the two. Anyway, yes, when Dick Jones gets his.
Oh, really? I was thinking more of the guy that fell into the vat.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah,
that
that's
guy,
really
because
good.
he explodes real
Yeah,
good.
he gets hit by that car and is just like smashed all over that windshield, and they just turn on the windshield wipers and keep going.
Oh my god.
It's really good.
Yeah, that was gross. Anytime Jason gets it in Friday the 13th. That son of a bitch. That son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
A couple people in chat saying to Hans Gruber at the end of Die Hard, that's a good one for sure.
Yeah, the something about the shot of him going off, like it looks so fake.
I love it. I
looks
love
so
how goofy it
shitty.
looks.
And then when they remaster Die Hard, I hope they go back and fix that shot.
Do you know that was like his first movie?
Really? Huh?
Yeah. What a performance.
It's damn good.
All right. This one is short, simple. You and your enemy get to throw one console at each other. You get to choose both consoles. Which console do you throw, and which do you have thrown at you? For the sake of this argument, we're going to say console. It has to be not a handheld. And I'm going to say 5 feet apart.
5 feet?
I was going to say a Wii U, so I'd have two things to throw.
Oh, no, I like that.
Okay.
That's good.
Good. I'm going to choose to throw a GameCube because I think I can get pretty accurate with a handle.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a speed. So if you think about it, like my first response was the Xbox because the original Xbox is so fucking heavy.
Right.
Biggest console.
But I would want them to throw that at me, I think.
It's also a bigger target to avoid.
Because there's a good chance that it just might fall limply to the ground.
They might not make it.
But
a GameCube, you could huck a fucking GameCube because you can come overhand. It's got a handle. You can whip that fucker. You can whip a GameCube at somebody.
Oh, yeah.
That's
my
object choice.
An Xbox is a throw up. A
Right.
GameCube is a throw straight across.
You
Like
do
you're
like
just
a-
whipping it into some fucker's face.
What's it called?
shot put?
Shot
Yeah.
put. Yeah, you shot put a GameCube at somebody.
Maybe like a
I was thinking like a
PS2
Wii
Slim.
might be easy to get like a nice good kind of frisbee toss with like a Wii, like because you can get a good grip on it. It's got that shape. Probably want someone to throw like I feel like the older, like the NES would probably, I imagine it's like present day, right? So like an old NES would probably shatter if it hit me, right? Like those things are
they're
weak.
so fragile, right?
It might be filled with bugs, though.
Oh, fuck, you're right.
Or yogurt.
And an NES is like kind of hollow. Like it's
What if I get my hands on some like pressure sensors? We get a dummy, and then we test this as soon as we get back. What would hurt the most?
I did. Did I tell you what? I wanted to try and find the Deadliest Warrior people, like people involved in the production of Deadliest Warrior, to try and recreate Knife vs. Bat at one point.
get some actual science.
Some like pig corpses, and just like
Yeah.
start going to town.
I feel like there's that aspect of it, but also I bet if you just interviewed a bunch of cops,
Yeah.
the over the years, enough of them would have had bats and knives pulled on them in such a way that they would be like, oh. And I feel like when cops weigh in on that, I feel like they usually say, yo, knives are fucked.
Yeah. For sure.
Because they're knives. Yeah. What if we no. I was say I have enough original Xboxes here, and I think at least one of them no longer functions, and maybe the capacitor might have blown all over the board in a way that's just like beyond salvaging. So you could throw that off the build.
Jeff, we've got like 10 of those green ones in the office, by the way.
Oh, let's not. Those are all debugs. We can't go
Yeah, that's
blowing up debugs. They might have something weird on them. We need to plug all those in and
That's true.
check.
We do Olympics. Since the 2020 Olympics are canceled this year, right? We just do that with
Mhm.
Xboxes. We recreate all the events with consoles.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
What's the best console for the different tasks? Definitively, I like it. What's the best console for hiding drugs? It's the original PS2, or not the original, the US PS2 with
Right.
the full height hard drive
Mm-hmm.
slot. Everyone knows that.
Oh, we could call it Console Wars.
It's a terrible idea. I love this.
Hey, Bomb Crew! The Switch is the first handheld I've owned since the Game Boy Advance. In the past few weeks, I've gone down a Picross hole on the Switch, which led me to dig out my wife's DS Lite so I could play Picross 3D for the first time, and I think I may be obsessed. Since then, I've been eyeing the 3DS in order to play Picross 3D Round 2. Is the 3DS worth getting in 2020? Are there any must-play games on the DS/3DS or any models in particular I should be going for? Thanks. Carmen in Kalamazoo.
I really like Picross 3D Round 2. There was a good WarioWare, that last
Yeah.
WarioWare they put out
Oh.
on 3DS, the kind of the best of thing that would be good if you hadn't played a lot of that stuff already.
This
Yeah,
is a
I'm
very
trying to
Steel Diver, this
Oh,
is
yeah.
a ton of great 3DS games.
a very me game, but Pokemon Conquest, X combo with Pokemon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Link Between Worlds.
I was just gonna say that shit.
Oh,
Okay.
it's a banger.
I think it's totally worth, like, if you can find, like, let me see what the kind of eBay look for 3DS is, because I feel like you can find a 3DS right now for a decent price.
Hmm.
Yeah, like
Good.
150, 120 on the cheaper end. What do you guys think about like model, like 2DS?
Yeah, that's like the doorstop one, right?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
that.
there's like they also did like the folding, like the 2DS XL that folds,
yeah.
and some of that other stuff too. I'm gonna go grab it. Hang on, I think it's right here.
Okay, it's right there. I just like a classic DS Lite. Those are just nice.
Battery was great.
Yeah. Those are fantastic. I've still got my
these ones kind of got hard to find. This is a 3D one. This is the one that has like the Mario, like kind of
Oh yeah.
logo stuff embossed
had
into
one
it.
of
So this
those.
one got like limited edition, kind of hard to find. But this is like a
Cool.
very sturdy. It's what I think this is a new 3DS.
XL.
No, it's not an XL because
XL.
this is the more recent.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is like this is the 2DS XL, and this one's fine too, I think, but it's very flimsy
Sure.
on the hinge, and I don't like that about it. But this is a fairly discounted or like it's not a super expensive way to get into the 3DS library. I don't think you really need the 3DS or the 3D
The 3D,
functionality.
yeah.
Um, so that works. But yeah, I think the non-XL new 3DSs that came out in the US, like they're not maybe a ton of those. So I don't know. Those might be hard to find nowadays, but I'm not sure where the product line sits, but you could walk into plenty of big ass well, not right now, but you can go to a Target and get a 3DS, I'm sure.
I wonder. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would still keep that stuff on the shelf, or if it's just Switch stuff.
I feel like last time I was in there was definitely like a bunch of 3DS
Really?
hardware at least.
Yeah.
Like they weren't
I haven't been
necessarily
able to look
dedicating a
out for it,
ton of
so.
space to games, but yeah,
Crazy.
they still had them.
All right, we got another question here that I'm pretty sure we're all going to be on the same page on, but I just want to make sure. Hey dudes, when you preheat your oven, do you put your food in while it preheats or wait for it to reach the temperature it needs
What?
to be
No.
at and
What
then
do
cook your food?
No,
Braden in Ontario, Canada.
you preheat for a reason.
It's called preheating.
Yeah.
It's not cooking.
What?
There have definitely been times where I've been like, I do not have the time to. So the oven I
Sure.
have takes forever to preheat. It fucking sucks. I should take it out of the wall and fucking
Throw that at
throw
someone.
it away. Yes, throw this oven at someone and
Throw an
get
Xbox at it.
get a new oven. So there's definitely been cases where I've not waited for an oven to preheat all the way before putting something in, and just been like, oh,
Sure.
fuck it. Just I'll check back in 22 minutes instead of 20 or 18 or whatever, and try to do some bad math. And the result is the food never comes out quite right, and I've always fucked it up. So I've become more of a stickler, for just like, nope, I'm gonna preheat the oven until this little light turns off, and then I'm gonna put my shit in there.
Right.
And as a result, I hate using the oven because it takes fucking forever.
It really
I will
does.
say that the way I make bacon is you start it I lay it out on a pan on tinfoil and put it in the oven, and then turn it on and then flip it once it gets to 400 as
Mm.
kind of like, oh, that's the half-ish way point, and that works. But like that's a very specific way of doing it that I was taught how to do it, and I think you should preheat your oven before you put things in the oven, right? Yeah, right. We're all on the
Yes.
same page. then.
Yes.
We are on the same page.
Okay. Good.
I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't.
Also, broil it.
There's going to be comments that tell me otherwise, but
When you broil something, you generally don't have to preheat because it just turns on.
Yeah.
Learn that the hard way.
Yeah.
All right. A lot of people confused by putting bacon in the oven. I'm sure it's
It's
fine,
totally
guys.
a thing.
Try
Like,
it.
It's yeah,
Did you never watch Epic Meal Time? Come on.
bacon strips.
Hello, fellow new challengers. I've decided to take the plunge and finally learn how fighting games and brawlers work. So I've ordered a fight stick, a
Oh,
Hori Rap V Switch edition, and
Okay.
I'm reading the Shoryuken intro guide to fighting games.
Nice.
My question, though, is which game would you start with? I have the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection and really have been having fun with Alpha 3 in particular, but which game, ideally available on Switch, Xbox, or PC, would you recommend I really try to dive in and learn? Thanks for all your Lockdown goodness. I really appreciate the site and work you guys do.
I mean, the easiest games I think to pick up initially are going to be like the Street Fighter 2 series. Once you get into like Alpha, you're dealing with isms and shit like that. And
Love an iceism.
Yep. But most of the stuff that the guide that you're looking at, is going to cover is the very basics of Street Fighter.
Yeah. I feel like most of the instructions are going to map back to Street Fighter because that kind of just became the lingua franca of
Right.
fighting. Like it's what hey, do a fireball motion, do a dragon punch motion to do
Yeah.
this in this other game. Like it's a lot of the lingo and some of that stuff
Right.
even maps back to that. Yeah.
But I do suggest picking up some other games that go outside of that, like Skullgirls, because it has a great tutorial and shit like that. And
Mortal
I think
Kombat.
yeah,
The newest Mortal Kombat tutorial is really good.
there you go. And you're going to start finding the similarities. Like you're going to start, seeing, overheads an awful lot and the lingo and, footsies and shit like that, and controlling space. And a lot of that maps, one-to-one to other fighters.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, there's such a wide variety of fighters that you can like pour a lot of time into and become good at versus fighters that you can pour a lot of time into and be still miserable at. Like a lot of versus games are like that. A lot of anime fighters it can feel overwhelming at times. If you're looking for something newer that might have still maybe a more active community, I think the newest Samurai Showdown is a pretty approachable game. It's slower paced for sure. It's definitely more like that. Really
combo heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, the best advice I would give is try and figure out what you like. Like play a little bit of a lot and identify the systems. Like, do you like doing combos? Because maybe you'll want to get into the versus games. Like, do you like neutral? Stick with a Street Fighter. Like, kind of find the one thing that you like most about fighting games and see if you can find a fighting game that really does that well.
That clicks with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I will.
Okay. Yeah, Jason, please. All right. Got an email here from Chris. I was catching up on Jeff's stream. Welcome to the Gentleman Loser the other day, and Jeff and Vinny got on the topic of how people with customized face masks is akin to video game DLC. Which leads me to my question. How long until special or collector's editions of video games start coming with actual physical face masks that you can wear that feature the game's logos, characters, or other cutesy art in reference to said game? Or maybe there'll be pre-order bonuses. Halo came with a Spartan helmet. Catherine came with boxers. When do we get our terrible looking video game face masks?
Later this year.
Yeah.
I wonder who's going to do it.
Last of Us 2.
Oh God.
They will.
Oh God.
Oh no.
Too much. But also, yeah.
No, it's been pitched in like maybe every boardroom to some degree, but you have to hope that cooler heads will prevail and this won't be a thing.
Well, I feel like it's been something that, like you can find a bunch of video game designs on face masks right now, I'm sure all over Etsy and stuff like that, like for sale. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not against putting Mario's face on a face mask or whatever. Like I'm, whatever. Do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and if they wanted to sell it separately as merch, I think that's also an okay different thing. Where like someone in the chat just said Disney is taking pre-orders for face masks, and I think I saw WWE face masks that looked like the Belt or the Fiend's face or Kane's mask and some other crap like that.
Kane mask one is actually pretty funny.
Yeah. But then there's ones that just have like the same shit that's on their t-shirts. Like, wear a face mask that just says "the man" on it. Like, no, what? Stupid. But I've seen like face mask. Like, here's a face mask with a picture of Sub-Zero on it. But also, here's a face mask that is Sub-Zero's face mask. And
Wait,
like,
actually,
one is okay.
Yeah,
it's just like here's Sub-Zero standing on your face, and it's like, that's stupid.
If you move your lips right, you can make him do the cool slide.
Yeah, right. Make him rip your spine out if I just. Yeah, I don't know. I think but something about like making that a selling point for a collector's edition version of a game feels like a bridge too far. Whereas like, if they were out there selling it as merch alongside T-shirts and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, I guess. I don't know, but at the same time, even that's a little weird. But
a little bit.
So should we do giant bomb face masks? That's the ultimate.
That's what I'm saying is we should.
Headbands, face masks.
Mm-hmm.
Do it all.
Headband. Yeah, actually. I could. Yeah. It's not a bad idea.
You can rock a headband. Hell yeah.
I got like 5 of them right here.
Burgers or hot dogs? If you had the choice to eat only one and not the other for the rest of your life, which would you cut out? Jacob from Texas.
Get rid of them. What's inside of those?
Good pork, delicious pig.
Sometimes, if you're lucky.
I gotta go with hot dogs. I think this
Cutting them
comes
out.
down to the fact that I didn't have my first burger until I was like an adult, and so I don't have. I have a. Have I? Yeah, I didn't have my first burger till I was like. Jan looks very confused for the
I
audio.
am very
listeners.
confused.
I had my first burger when I was like 22 or 23 in Petaluma. There was a place that was famous for having like big the pounder dingy, and it was like a 1 pound hamburger. And so my friends were like, "Hey, you're starting to eat meat now. Like, let's take you over here and get you a hamburger." And I ate a pound hamburger for my first hamburger. And let me tell you, if you've never eaten a hamburger, don't start with a pound.
No.
Yeah, that's kind of a lot to get.
It's definitely a lot.
I've been eating hamburgers a long time, and I still have to think about it. Do I want to eat a big pound hamburger right now? Like, maybe not. Maybe not. But I would still. I think it's hamburgers over hot dogs. To me, hot dogs are like a fun side food that I love. Don't get me wrong, but it's like hot dogs are almost snack-like in nature, unless you're eating like 6 of them. Whereas, like, to me, hamburgers are just a staple. That's just like that's a food right there. That's a meal. Hot dogs, if you want a hot dog meal, you got to eat a lot of them, which also is okay because I do like hot dogs. But
What
I
about
think I got to go burgers.
you can never have a corn dog either.
Good.
Fuck. If I
Did you
chose
say
hot
good?
dog,
Good. I said it. Fuck corn
You're
dog.
lucky, you're lucky there's this whole social distancing thing going on right now, man.
I would get up out of this chair. No, fuck a corn dog. I wouldn't actually fuck a corn dog, but fuck corn dogs. I have
The
no
breading,
time for-
maybe.
yeah, it's
No.
take the stick out first.
Yeah,
place.
like that's
I
a
mean,
pain in
like
the ass.
maybe you're
It's
into
like
sounding. I don't know. What?
fucking
Like I understand, like it's
situation.
on a stick, it's like convenient and stuff, but it's like it's a pain in the ass to eat around the goddamn stick.
Have you ever eaten corn on the cob?
Yeah, that's a lot simpler. You can
How is that
typewriter. You can
simpler?
typewriter that stuff. You can't
You can
typewriter.
typewriter a
That's
corn
true.
dog.
Mm.
I will go get a corn.
He stormed
Anyway.
off.
Never
Yeah, you
had a
started out.
hamburger till 22.
Yeah, that's weird. It's
I
Why
had some
would-
corn dogs?
take.
Wait,
Did
was it a
you
cheeseburger? What
When
else
you were
was on this
22?
burger?
Are
Yeah,
you, my first burger?
Yeah.
yeah.
I
My
think it was
first
just-
burger, the hot new podcast.
Cheese and pickles, I want to say. I didn't like it, mostly because it was too big and also the place was like,
Was
like, if you ask for French fries, we're gonna kick your ass.
Okay.
And, like-
yeah. No. Yeah. That's the place. It's in. Well, was
it's
it the
gone
place at
now.
the slaughter at the livestock auction?
Autorama.
Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah.
That place is gone now, and now it's replaced by a hot dog place. So there you go.
Man, I don't know.
It took me going to In-N-Out with some other friends to actually realize, like, oh, okay, I'll eat a normal burger and like it.
Love me some burgers and dirters, but
Mhm.
I think I may have to. But you know, when you go to Costco, you got to get the hot dog.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Mm.
Boiled
Well,
I
I guess
could
the
never
thing is
do that
because
again.
because you get it because it's like a fun treat,
Yeah.
Whereas like it's hot, a hamburger is like it's a meal. It's like a staple. It's a thing. It's
Too messy. It's like, oh, you got to worry about all the toppings and stuff. No, just give me a
right.
hot dog. It comes in a bun. It's split down the middle. It's lots of fun.
Can I not have hot dogs at all anymore? Like in other forms?
No.
Ah, man, my
You know
spaghetti.
what though? I bet I could get 85% of the way to the enjoyment I get out of like a chili dog if the hot dog wasn't even in there. If I just took a hot dog bun and filled it full of chili and cheese, that would still be pretty
It
good.
does sound good. I mean, I would eat that too.
Yeah.
But
What if I took a tortilla and I filled it full of chili and cheese? That'd be pretty good.
Right.
What if I
did
took
that with
my
pasta
body and filled it
yesterday.
full of chili and cheese?
chili cheese, Jeff.
Oh man, there's no chili or there's some cheese, but I gotta get some chili.
I like this email. The subject line is good emails. And the question is, what makes a good email? Daniel in Iowa.
They're all bad. They're all bad. No, things that don't resolve to a yes or no answer.
Yeah.
Ones
You
that
know,
deal with
fun
food.
We took this one.
Hypotheticals.
I think we took this email. Did we
Did
take this
we?
email?
I feel like we gave tips on
I feel
how
like
to
we
give
gave
a good
email
email.
tips.
This came in one
Yeah.
day ago.
Okay.
So
All right, then.
I guess listening to the show and knowing if we answered an email before you ask the question is a good tip.
Knowing which show you're emailing, Make sure you don't double
Not
dip.
emailing both of
Yeah.
us.
Emailing both shows, I think, is a really trash ass move. But you know,
That's some desperation right there.
yeah,
Man. Good Lord.
No double dipping.
yeah,
A greeting is nice.
yeah. It's nice.
Salutations.
Mhm.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. I'll do a couple more here.
Okay.
This one's from Matt. And Matt says, Duders, like many, I am finding myself with an absurd amount of time on my hands and don't know what to do with it. I generally do not like maintenance sims, but I go through phases where I sit down and play 20 hours of game in one sitting, such as Prison Architect, City Skylines, and Roller Coaster Tycoon. I am looking for games of this nature that I can chill, listen to relaxing music, and waste time in. What are your suggestions?
Find yourself a way to run a copy of Sim City 2000.
Mm,
Just go all the way back, baby.
Just lose yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think like low stakes is important
Mm-hmm.
for something like this. So I mean, Animal Crossing has been a great one for me. In that
But like
regard.
you're talking about playing it for a long period of time and a long stretch. Like I feel like Animal Crossing doesn't
I could
always.
Ooh, where my island's at with how much junk I have just like strewn about the place, it's due
That
for.
just sounds stressful, man. That
It
doesn't
is really
sound like
stressful, but one
that
of these
doesn't
days I'm
sound
going to sit
relaxing.
down and just zone out and move everything, and it's going to look so good. And my island's going to be so great. I'm finally going to get a fucking S from that Happy Home Academy. Oh, I hate that.
Fuck the Happy Home Academy.
Fuck the Happy Home Academy.
Yeah.
They gave me a B a couple weeks ago. Can you
I'm
believe
sorry.
it?
I feel like I got to be the first week that they showed up.
It gets harder when
Okay.
when you have more and more rooms because
Got
you
it.
need more and more shit in there. Oh.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Minecraft.
Yeah.
Get some
Yeah?
mods in there. Go into like
Just
a nice.
dig, baby.
Just dig. Digging is good.
Mm-hmm.
Digging
Yeah.
is good. I'm so excited to play Minecraft again right now, you
Yeah.
guys.
We did so much though that it was like it started getting serious by the end of that stream where I was just like, I gotta feel like I gotta contribute here. I better get down to the mine and kill some people or dig or I don't know what I'm even doing.
The last like 20-30 minutes of that was just Ben and I bumbling around in the house, not even talking to each other.
No, I would
Just
see, like, Jan
independently
start doing
building.
something. I'm like, and then I just start.
Yeah.
I finally made signs, and then I just saw Jan starting to make signs too. I'm like, yeah, this is good.
Nice. Yeah. Well, we'll get back in there on Friday, I think, and do some of that. That's one of our hot new premium streams. Premium
Ooh.
memberships are on sale right now, folks.
Ooh.
So, you can head over to giantbomb.com/upgrade for more information about that. Thanks to everyone for their support through these unprecedented. Yeah,
we know that
it's,
the
yeah,
atmosphere.
it's been real crazy. But yeah, thanks to everyone for helping us keep the lights on and do all this stuff. Except this light, which I'm going to turn off. The power of your memberships has enabled me to turn this light off, but you keep all the other lights
Whoa.
on, and it's nice.
Oh.
Oh, it's so nice.
Turn mine off too.
Yeah, new podcast. We're gonna do a new episode of that on Friday. We're gonna have Alex jump in with us and talk shop about some shit and hang out. So yeah, giantbomb.com/upgrade is the address for that. Ben's turned the lights on.
I'm doing it with my foot.
Whoa.
Oh man, it's very erotic. What else are you doing with your feet?
You know, I can't. We're streaming to Twitch right now. I can't.
Okay, fair enough. That's going to do it for this episode of the Giant Bombcast. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back next week with another show. Brad should be back with us by that point. Yeah, hang in there. We'll see you soon. After show coming up. We'll just we'll chill out for a little bit here. I think the show ran a little long. Maybe it was the breaks that ran long. Yeah, we'll be back in a little bit with the after show if you're watching live. So come kick it with us, and we'll see you soon.